Hello everyone, welcome to Battlerite Asia number 5. I'm your host Dominic, and we have a fairly large tournament today, about 12 teams going in. Going to be starting out the match between a Apple Pie, Diamonds for Life. A couple of diamond level teams that we're going to be starting out with, which will be interesting. I haven't seen a lot of these people in the past, so this will be kind of surprising. Apple Pie is made up of 100%, well, apple juice, but I believe at this point they are in-game just known as 100% apple juice. Zaklava and Cheese Please. Diamonds for Life, on the other hand, DTWL, Butterscotch, and Phlegm. Anyway, the game is getting started, so we should get to that. 100% apple juice on Baco, Cheese Please on Pestilence, and Jade for Zaklava. On the other hand, Butterscotch on Xander, Phlegm on Rook, and DTWL on Esmo. So, fairly interesting setup going forward. I mean, I'm actually particularly interested in Cheese Please, because we don't see a lot of Pestilence anymore. We've been seeing a lot of Xander recently, just in general. And Xander is one of those heroes that tends to really allow for a massive aggressive strategy, so I can see Esmo and Rook working really well with that. On the other hand, with Pestilence, you have the Baco there, which will be kind of nice to help provide just a little bit of protection. And on top of the Jade, which character can play either aggro or more defensive. And it looks like they're going to be playing a lot more aggro, just basically trying to completely out-aggro their opponents to make sure they cannot get to the Pestilence. And it's working out reasonably well so far. Center control has been secured by Apple Pie, rather. They are managing to get the orb, and that is the important thing. They just want to make sure they keep their opponents out of the way, and very nice Grand Conjuration mounts coming in there. So Butterscotch in a bit of a tight spot, DTOL as well, being kind of not the best positions as far as anything is concerned. 1% Apple Juice is making short work of both of them, especially with a really nice War Stomp there, which is setting up Butterscotch to die. One good War Axe, that is going to be it. Now it looks like not even the focus anymore, but there it is. We have Butterscotch down right at the bat. Phlegm will follow soon after, and DTWL might be able to get a Grimoire in the process, but that will only be a delaying of the inevitable as Apple Pie takes the first round decisively. And I really like the way they approached it. Right off the bat, they did not let their opponents get anywhere near that center. They wanted to have that to themselves right off the bat. So at this point, Diamonds for Life is going to be having a bit of an uphill struggle right now. However, that is still going to be a reasonable situation because right now, people are in the chat room throwing me off. Actually, Butterscotch is in a pretty good position. They managed to keep their teammates in there, managed to keep their teammate alive, and managed to get the Arcane Catalyst applied to their opponents. They could actually find quite a bit of damage off that. But at this point, DTWL getting loads of pressure. Again, 1% apple juice, making it very difficult for their opponents to find any momentum whatsoever. And that is leading to DTWL being at half HP. And while they are engaged very strongly, it is a massive risk to their own life. Very nice Grand Conjuration Bulwark bounce. Again, 1% apple juice on point with those bulwarks. And that is allowing them to maintain a highly pressure position. Even with the flanks coming in here from Phlegm, it doesn't matter. They haven't been able to find any mileage. DTWL goes down once again, and Butterscotch will have no luck whatsoever. Well, Phlegm, they've actually just about to get a cross kill. Bit of a shame that it was the end of the round 2 deaths ago. But, hey, it's there. So at this point, 1 round is left for Apple Pie. And once they take this, then it is going to be possibly one more. This is a best of 3. So there are 3 maps, as well as obviously win score 3. First map has been Dragon Garden Day. Second 2 maps, I'm not entirely sure offhand. I'd have to double check, but the lobby chat, I think, is gone for that. As is Zaklava. Apparently some technical issues going on here, getting disconnected right off the bat of round 3. Not entirely sure what's going on there, but I'm guessing we're going to find out soon enough. So yeah, I'm quite enjoying the way that we are seeing the aggression coming in there. I mean, last round we didn't see quite so much... Oh. That's weird. So we're waiting exactly to come back. But anyway, as I was saying, the the overall aggression coming in from Apple Pie. They're doing an interesting job here. It's been one round of hyper aggression. The second round was a bit less aggressive. They got solid center control, but didn't quite manage it. I did like the way that 1% Apple Juice was just keeping pressure on everybody, particularly DTWL, making sure that not much momentum could be found. Especially with the bulwark coming in there. That was amazing. Like, just masterful use of the bulwark. So I expect we're going to see that quite a bit here as Zeklova has returned. So Zeklova's coming in here, and of course at this point the entire team of Diamonds for Life has that center control. Now the question is, how's that going to work? Valiant Leap coming in here, not managing to get a huge amount of damage, but does manage to at least put the pressure on, split things up once again. And again, DTWL not really able to do all that much as their opponents do surround them. Cheese Bliss, however, did not get a position where their teammate was in front. Either the teammates were in front. And now this is the exact situation that Apple Pie has been working to avoid with their overall positioning strategy. Managing to stabilize at the very least, and that is going to lead to them getting the orb again, and that is going to lead to a pretty strong position for Cheese Bliss as DTWL is just about dead, and once DTWL goes down, then it's going to be round over, and even in, as it is now, DTWL is way off. Phlegm not able to help out either, being completely destroyed as basically Cheese Bliss, or Zeklova rather, was making no bones of the fact that they just wanted to see Phlegm die. So far, we have seen Apple Pie dominate this round, even with a disadvantageous position from Zeklova having to disconnect and the entire center control being lost at the start. Still, great use of proper positioning as Cheese Please did manage to get themselves stabilized. They managed to infest over the wall here and avoid pretty much anything coming at them, because that was a big problem. They got in there, they got surrounded, infest went over the wall, and that got them back in the game. So that is game one right off the bat. We have a 1-0 win score 3 win coming in here, and that is going to lead to the next map. I'm not sure what the next map is, though. It looks like they didn't even bother to pick. Oh. I mean, what... Presumably they had any kind of map ban, but it looks like it's not the case. So at any rate, we are going to be moving on to whatever map happens to be their next pick. We're also getting the champion picks as well, because this is, of course, a situation where you can repick champions should you so choose. Since that would make sense. I mean, you kind of want to. Especially considering how badly things went. I don't agree entirely with the use of Xander in this situation. I kind of agree with it, but I'm not sure I totally agree, for the simple reason that we didn't see much that worked in favor for anyone on Diamonds for Life. Granted, I don't like to really get into composition too much, so at this point I'm thinking that we probably will see a change just because that is often the way to go. I don't expect we're going to see anything too massively different. Xander is still a meta pick, and that is the way that things tend to go. Like, that's my expectation, is that we are still going to see Xander Esmo as that high damage, high control pick. I mean, between the shackles and the sheep and the fact that Arcane Catalyst works really well with the sort of high damage play that Esmo provides, I do expect we're going to see a similar setup going forward. I just don't know how that's going to work, because we saw already that the Bako Jade setup, like Bako Jade Pestilence, is very close to the Bako Jade Xander that's been fairly popular around North America. That was making it impossible for center control to be established. Bako is just getting in front of everything and managing to stop any Grand Conjurations. Anyway, we're going to be going on to a tiny little break for just a couple seconds while all this stuff gets sorted out, because it's taking a little while for the champion and map picks. So we'll be back in a second. Stay tuned as we return. Alright, welcome back, everyone. We have round 2 starting up pretty soon. We're going to be on... Actually, what hour we're going to be on here? I didn't even check. It's going to be a... Oh yeah, Dragon Guard at night. That's what it is. So, Dragon Guard and Knight, and also there's been a slight change in the lineup. So, at this point, we're going to have Flemman going off to Jamila. Everything else being the same. Oh, sorry, Butterscotch going to Paloma as well. So, much more defensive setup, and we're seeing Jamila now as well, which I really like, because Jamila has become not quite my new main. I mean, I'm still much better at Jade, but I've been really practicing a lot with Jamila. She's cool. She's got a lot of neat little sneakiness to her without entirely relying on sneakiness the way, say, Croak does. So she's different. But I've not seen a whole lot of top-level play using Jamila. So I really am excited here. I mean, Flemman, they were playing Rook. They were playing a pretty backline Rook, which is going to be interesting to see how they translate with Jamila, because Rook actually handles that really well. They have their Eat. They have a reasonable amount of CC on them, especially with Smack that allows them to play with the walls. Jamila, on the other hand, she uses the walls in order to set up her own in caps, but kind of the opposite. She has to jump off the walls instead of smacking her opponents into the walls. However, as a whole, she only has a couple escapes. For a melee, that's tiny. Most melees will have 3 or so. She only has 2. And one of them is highly delayed. Like, she has her counter. She has her elusive strike, which is her space. She also has her hook shot, but while that does count as an escape, it can be hard to pull off in a way that's actually going to save your life, because there is a cast time to it. The 0.4-second cast time is not what I consider to be normal on an escape, although admittedly, elusive strike also has a pretty high cast time. So overall, Jamila is a character you have to play with a fair amount of prediction to her. On the other hand, Apple Pie has not changed their lineup whatsoever. So at this point, we're just seeing what Flemman can do now that they have this Jamila here. And turns out there's, again, a very aggressive approach. Nice double in-cap on top of that as well. Elusive Strike coming in here, dealing some extra damage, but at the same time, DTW still getting all the focus from 1% Apple Juice and from Zeklova. So this is not easy. Despite the lineup change, despite the Paloma being there to help provide extra healing, the amount of burst coming out here for between Zeklova and 1% Apple Juice is more than enough. Might be able to burst through as Flemman unable to make the Elusive Strike in-cap connect, and that means they cannot stop 1% Apple Juice from destroying the rest of their team. Their counter's not popped, so they go down, and with that, round 1, Apple Pie taking it very convincingly. So at this point, I'm not entirely sure what to even say to do, because Apple Pie, they didn't allow for any real play to happen. There was one Elusive Strike that managed to get a nice double in cap, but that was about it. And the capitalization on that didn't seem to be there so much. Not to mention, this isn't really a team that has a huge amount of combo potential. I mean, you can have the Wolf on top of Chaos Grip, that's not bad. Like 40, 50 damage depending on the charge and the Chaos Grip. Otherwise, though, it's really not easy to take advantage of those in-caps, especially when the Chaos Grip gets reflected back on you, because we've seen before, 1% Apple Juice's bulwarks are on point. At this point, Flemman going for that aggressive setup, really finding that Baka directly, which is not the typical recommendation. Jamila is much better going in the back lines, and that's exactly what has been done. Flemman leapfrogging off, but no, again, continuing to re-engage that Bako, which is not what, like I said, not what I recommend. I mean, at this point, they are getting assists from their teammates, so it's working out that way. But the thing is, Jade is just getting all the room in the world to throw out snipes. Nothing is stopping her from doing anything. Zeklova is having a field day, and that's allowed Butterscotch to go down. That's allowed DTWL to go down, and that is going to mean yet another round in favor of Apple Pie. So one thing I'd really like to see is just get in the back line. Get that Jamila against either the Jade or, more importantly, the Pestilus. I could see not wanting to go for the Jade. Blast Fall alone makes it very difficult to stay on a Jade. Her slipperiness is legendary. But when it comes to Pestilus, they have Infest, and if they're really good, they might throw out a Vomit, they might throw out a Brain Bug and make that work out. That is always a thing that could happen. But at the same time, it's going to be still a bit of a tough play. If they can apply pressure on Zeklova, that will make it difficult for the snipes to come out there, and it will leave Butterscotch and DTW, well, Butterscotch primarily with more room. DTWL, their main concern, of course, being the Bako. But that's that's easier to manage when there isn't a snipe behind it making your life miserable. Still, though, this is the final round, potentially. Apple Pie on match point. How this is going to go is entirely down to what we see come out from Diamonds for Life. Clutch play in the last round. They might be able to find something, actually get themselves on the board. Flemman, however, is again trying to engage that Baco. And we aren't seeing that combos, especially as that Arachnophobia doing a great job splitting up the rest of the team, leaving DTWL all on their own as they go in hard, engaging with extreme commitment to their detriment and to their death. So with that, Apple Pie, there's a small chance something might turn around, make it difficult, but at this point, the separation between Butterscotch and Flemman, normally you would think that the two would go hand in hand, Butterscotch and Flem, but today is not that day. Today is a good day to eat Butterscotch and still be able to talk well. Regardless, though, that is Apple Pie taking 2-0 victory against Diamonds for Life. Moving on to the quarterfinals. The Diamonds for Life will not be able to do much more than that. And again, this is, like I said, Baco Jade. Common setup. I do want to see what happens with Jamila overall. Like I said, haven't seen a whole lot of her in top level play. Not sure how well she's handling. I have a bit of a bad feeling because it's difficult to set up. Like, she is a very setup-oriented character, very much based on getting those in-caps down and getting the rest of your team comboing on them, which in theory should be really good for a combo-based team. But at the cost of one of her escapes, that's risky. So I'm not sure how that's going to pan out, all things considered, as we go forward. But I do expect we are going to be seeing more Jamilas as we go along. Also, if you're wondering, the intermission screen, there's a little donation bar there that's mentioning money. So this is being run through Matcherino, which does have crowdfunded donations to the prize pool. You can type in !donate into the chat to get the link, and that money will be on top of a $220 prize pool that SLS has kindly provided, and all the winnings will go to the players. None of that is being taken by myself or anyone else on the Battlerite Asia team or anyone at Matcherino, presumably. Well, I can't imagine that none of it's going to them, but at this point, all to the players is everything I've heard. So we're going to be taking a short break as we wait for the next match to be arranged. Stay tuned until then, and again, if you want to provide a bit more money to the prize pool for the players to win, you can go do that. Right now, we've had about 20 bucks thrown in there. 10 from Johnny Brova. Thank you. And Shining Knight and Just On We both added 5 bucks right off the bat. So we have $20, $240 in total for the prizes today. Anyway, the next match will be Steakhouse versus Shining Knight. We'll be back with that in just a couple minutes. Stay tuned. Welcome back, Battlerite fans. We have Battlerite Asia number 5 continuing along in the quarterfinals, going on with Egg House versus Contender League. This is a couple really strong players going in here. We have now the champion level stuff. So Egg House is Natty, Jilbum, and Puma, while Contender League is Morning Dew, Shiny Knight, and I Got Vaxxed. Good for you. It's good to get vaccinated. That's an important part of staying alive in the long term when it comes to basically any kind of communicable disease. So I'm glad to know you got your shots. So we have... Oh yeah, we have Shiny Knight as well. Everyone getting really happy about Shiny Knight. Oh, I got vaxxed! Oh, my bad. I got vaxxed. Apparently they're referring to a vac ban, not vaccination. Not as good. Nowhere near as good. That is a very, very different approach. And apparently Shiny Knight quite happy to be playing on a team with someone who got vaxxed off of CSGO. Well, fair enough. That is... Wow, okay. Jeez, I kind of wish no one told me that, because I like my story better. But, okay. I got vaxxed, apparently is a dirty hacker. Oh well. We're going to be going in with a Ulrich. We haven't seen a lot of that. Morning Dew playing Ulrich, Shiny Knight and Freya with I Got Vaxxed on Iva. Natty also an Ulrich with Xander on Jilbum and Puma with Freya. So a double support team coming off here from Egg House. And we are seeing a bit of a defensive early on coming in as... Well, Shiny Knight being more aggressive than anything else, and that's allowing for Contender League to take that center control. Puma trying to get it back, doing a decent job of it as well, and actually throughout that very nice setup. The Crusade going through there with Natty, allowing them to get a nice position on I Got Vaxxed, pulling them in the back lines as well, and those favors. That favor setup, that is a very normal thing they have to do with Ulrich, because it gets them extra healing, and depending on rights, a bunch of other extra little bonuses for whoever has favor on them. So at this point, we're getting a very nice setup coming in here from Natty. I like the way that they're getting their opponents split up as best as they can, getting their opponents condemned well, and they are setting up for the rest of their team. But of course, playing double support means they don't have a huge amount of damage potential, and they have to be winning this attrition game, which unfortunately hitting the counter on Shiny Knight is making that a little bit harder. Though the Thunderstrike coming in here, that is going to be a very effective little approach to get rid of Xander. And, actually, not Xander, what am I saying? That was I Got Vaxxed. I Got Vaxxed. Getting comboed to death. But at the same time, it is still a matter of whether or not that can actually help out. And indeed it does. What am I saying? Of course it's going to help out. Because double support means you have to burst them down or they will not die. They might take all game. They might get a sudden death. But they will not die. And that is definitely what's happening here. Although Natty is taking some damage, but they have got that kill. Smiting I Got Vaxxed, making it very clear that by the tenets of their own religion, Ulrich does not approve of hacking CSGO. This is a team composition I actually haven't messed around with myself, honestly. This exact composition, Ulrich, Xander, Freya, and it is tricky because, again, the amount of damage that you can put out is not great compared to the amount of damage that you have to deal with taking in. And this team has done a great job keeping themselves alive. I mean, the protection scores alone, 856 coming off from the Ulrich, which is impressive. Most from the Holy Light, no surprise there, and a lot from the Intervene. That's the thing that applies favor. Jilbum as well, getting in there with a lot of hearts. Not a whole lot of spotlights, just plain old hearts healing. But yeah, it is entirely up to Puma, or largely up to Puma, to get the damage in that makes it work. And again, we're going to see longer matches as a result, just because there's not as much burst damage coming in here. Speaking of burst damage, though, Puma getting knocked down to about a quarter HP, that could turn this around, but at the same time, that value was gained. That's forcing Morning Dew back, as Morning Dew was very nearly killed in the process of trying to punish Puma for being as forward as they are. Puma managing to get a nice counter on the Condemn, stopping Morning Dew from getting any positioning advantage. Morning Dew cannot split the team at all, and at this point, they have to be extremely careful when and if they re-engage. They are, however, re-engaging right as their opponents are a little distracted trying to get rid of the Xander, and that is not distracted. Sorry, getting rid of the Iva. That is not distracted enough over. Morning Dew going down. At the same time, though, Puma is so close to death. The portal came in there a touch late, but it's fine. They're still alive. But it is super close, and Puma, they're just getting those shards to try to keep whatever survival they can. And the rest of their team fighting as best they can without basically their main damage dealer. Unless Puma wants to go for a suicide run. And that orb, now that it's gone over to Egg House, first orb of the match to Egg House, will mean that Egg House can at least provide, or Puma rather, can provide a little bit more extra support at the front lines. But even that is going to be a little bit tricky. Still, though, much like round 1, we are seeing that it's just a matter of time. Contender League will win the attrition game, no matter what happens. With I Got Vac down, that is going to be round 2 in favor of Contender League, showing that they are seriously misnamed. Oh, hey, it's Luke. I did not expect that. And is also very surprised at the Freyas. So, one of the best Freyas in North America, very surprised, and not sure which of these Freyas is doing the best job. That is a compliment. That is a compliment to both our Shiny Knight and Puma. And to be honest, actually did a lot. Wow. The amount of mileage Shiny Knight got. And they're on a team that actually has another damage dealer doing a lot of damage. On the other hand, Puma, about half as much damage. It's just the amount of healing coming in from Natty in particular, and Jilbum providing a bit of backup healing. Both of them just keeping their teammates alive, because we saw that Puma nearly died, and the operative word there is nearly. Puma again going very forward, and I see it's working out reasonably well, provided that they do get their counters up, and that shield up working out extremely well, but not as well as their opponents. And at this point, it looks like Shiny Knight is able to maintain momentum, and overall, Contender League, who I've been getting mixed up a little bit. Egg House is the one that's actually doing a really good job here. Contender League is doing a good job, but having a bit of a hard time finding the burst damage needed to get through their opponents, as Egg House is just making that impossible, especially with the burst there coming off in the Lightning Strike, and making I Got Vac go down from nearly full HP to dead inside of 5 seconds. Revenge coming off there from Shiny Knight, as Shiny Knight and Morning Dew are at full HP. I mean, yeah, there's only 2 of them. It's a bit of a problem going forward. They have the one healer between them. But at the same time, if they can get burst on someone, on anyone really, and Natty is clearly the target of choice, though it's also just targets of convenience, that will be handy. But at this point, Morning Dew getting smacked with Aegis in the head, that's knocking them down, along with everything else that's happened to them recently, down to about a quarter HP. And this does not look like there's any hope for this first map for Contender League. It is going to be Contender League having to try to claw it back after Egg House takes this first map 3-0. Oh, is that the case? Okay, so apparently people point out here that Dew has been doing a lot of school. Very, very hard at school. And I mean, it's quite possible we're just going to be seeing a bit of an issue with how the players are having to come in here and do this tournament. So clearly some of the players are tired. That's fair. They are going to be seeing some champ picks as well. So we saw last time, I mean, Egg House with that double support, really coordinating it well. Ulrich handling most of the healing with really amazing intervene casts. The second couple rounds, we didn't see as much of the intervene going there, largely because we didn't see as much of the attrition play. But that first round, the amount of times the intervene was coming out from Natty was pretty sick. I mean, we had just constant intervenes, and for those of you not familiar, intervene's cooldown refreshes completely when they tag an ally. And it provides favor, which, again, that provides increased healing, as well as, depending on rights, providing increased damage and increased, well, okay, further increased healing, but also allows for the Ulrich to deal increased damage off of their M1. But at this point, we have what looks like a slight change. Shiny Knight going for Jamila. So everything else seems to be relatively the same for Egg House, but it is going to be a bit of a tricky situation because Jamila is much more of a dive focus. I mean, Freya is very, very defensive, very much in the back lines. It's kind of trying to push forward. Jamila is trying to get in there, deal some damage, and get out. Freya doesn't have that option. Freya just has to get in there and shield and hope for the best. Alicia, however, is on top of that, so we have Jamila Alicia coming in for Contender League. Not sure what we're going to see coming out from Morning Dew. They want to go for Paloma, which according to their title is their main, or if they're going to go again for Xander. Sorry, for Ulrich, not Xander, what am I saying? They went for Ulrich last time. They're going to go for Ulrich on top of that, which I would be interested to see, but no, indeed, they're going for Paloma, going for that comfort pick. As for Egghouse, no changes whatsoever. Ulrich, Xander, Freya. So we've seen that already. It is a very difficult group to get past, but now we have Alicia. High damage range with a handful of defensive abilities that can go through and make it much harder for their opponents to actually get the mileage in there, especially when you get those freezes in there and actually split up your opponent's teams. Between Alicia and Jamila, properly played, they could set up local 3v1s throughout this entire match. And I expect they will, because again, burst damage, that's the key. And Paloma, of course, providing a bit of healing, well, providing the extra survivability, which I'm curious that's going to work. They're obviously going to be able to work with Alicia quite well, and assuming Shiny Knight plays Jamila hit and run, they will be able to get healed up by their Paloma as well, because, I mean, Morning Dew will be right there. But that is going to be interesting. Oh. Take that off there. That is going to be an interesting setup, because at this point, Jamila is still a bit untested. And I'm saying that as someone who likes her. I actually do quite like Jamila. I just am curious how high-level players play her. How she works out. And Shiny Knight is at champ level. So it's not like they're coming in from nothing. And they know what they're doing. I'm just gotta, figure out what they're doing. Learn from it and apply to my own play. So with that, we do have, like I said, a burst-focused team coming in here from Contender League. My one concern for them is Morning Dew, because Paloma these days has a hard time lasting for the simple reason that the amount of burst damage coming in with a Xander-based composition is enough to pretty much slaughter a Paloma. Get them out of position, get them dead, and that just nullifies the entire Fortress style that Paloma is known for. But we'll see how this works. And at this point, Shiny Knight is going in hard. They want to get rid of Jilboom right off the bat, and that's entirely who I agree with that. Xander is the prime target here. Although they are going to be going back to heal their team, and that could be interesting. The burst damage on Puma is making that totally worthwhile, as Puma is knocked down to 3/4 HP, but then so is the Jamila. Shiny Knight having a hard time getting past that shield, managing to find a little bit of extra damage, but that focus onto the Freya, I don't know if I agree with it as a whole. I do like getting rid of Jilboom. I'd like that focus there. The leapfrog off that is nice, and the other side to save from the lightning strike. So that's keeping Shiny Knight in this match. That's why I like that Paloma. Keeps you in here. Still, the orb does go over to Egghouse twice thus far, and they have a 20% HP lead. So despite the fact that the burst damage has been coming in and doing decent work, it hasn't managed to find the real permanent HP, because really, you're dealing with two supports, and that is tough. At this point, though, it's gonna be I got Vaxxed barely staying in this. They're not dead yet. They're close, but they still have some room in this match. But at the same time, it's just a matter of whether or not they can actually get back to the rest of their team, and the answer appears to be very uncertain. I got Vaxxed, not able to survive. They do manage to get back, but they don't manage to survive at all. And with that, first round again goes to Egghouse. It felt a little more competitive, though. Felt like Egghouse had more options. The question, of course, is what can they do to really make that work out for further rounds? I think focusing on Puma right off the bat was not the best option. Jilboom, clearly, they got some focus later on, but ultimately, with that jam, you want to get back in there. You want to get the focus on the healers. You want to make it very difficult for them to actually get their teammates back up. So then, at that point, the Alicia can man-fight the Puma if need be. Can man-fight the Freya, I should say. That would allow for a bit more damage, and at that point, it's Ulrich, Freya. It's not two supports helping out. Granted, the Ulrich is the one doing a lot of the healing, but again, it's about half and half this round. So that's the thing. Also, is Stormross in this chat? Yeah, Stormross is in this chat. Okay. Yeah, Stormross is someone who's just sort of, they're a fan. They don't always want to admit it, though. But anyway, we have again, that Forge Shiny Knight, they are again going for Puma. They want to get that Elusive Strike in cap on Puma, and they aren't finding any of it. They are, however, going in the backlines. They are getting some damage onto Natty. This is what I wanted to see. Bit of healer pressure. Not sure I agree necessarily Natty, because Ulrich has a lot of options to deal with this and can completely fight straight up against Shiny Knight, but they're not focused on that at all. They want I Got Vax's head, and they're not finding it. Finally, now they managed to condemn them and just split that up, but it's still more a matter of this pocket than anything else that is leading to a slight disadvantage for the Contender League players, and particularly that split up there off the Thunderstrike. No amount of attempts to save them would keep I Got Vaxxed in the game, and again, Shiny Knight doing a fine job on their own. It's just a matter of where it's going to work out for the team. Like, I feel like Shiny Knight here, and judging by what I was reading in the chat, that Shiny Knight is the only one here who's actually awake. Like, everyone else, they have been busy, they have been doing school, probably final season, or at least school is tough. So that's the thing. I can get that. At this point, though, it is match point. Egghouse, if they win this, they are going to be moving on to the semifinals. Actually, where is the semifinals here? We have... Up against them is going to be whoever wins between SG Represent and Battlerite. SG Represent is Devil, Yanni, and Toonies. That's an extremely strong team there. And then Battlerite, Brian Omelette, and Eagle. I guess Eagle. And that is going to be... might be cast? Probably not. But anyway, that is, whoever wins that is going to be up against the winner of this. If Egghouse wins this, they are going to be fighting them, and they're going to be having probably a bit of a field day. At this point, we are seeing them doing exactly that. Shiny Knight getting a lot of damage against them. The combo did work out on them. Again, Xander enables combos pretty well, but at this point, they are separated. Puma is not getting any help, and at the same time, neither is Boom. Shiny Knight going for that Xander pressure, and that is exactly what I wanted to see. Thunderstrike getting stuffed by the hook. Nicely done there. So at this point, there's a bit of momentum in favor of Contender League. I mean, it's still a bit tricky. The Shadow Dance had to come out there, and even with that, it's still Shiny Knight engaging with very low HP, which is not the most safe idea. It can work, it's just very unsafe, but having gotten that orb, it's clearly been worth it. And Boom not able to get the Sheep Trick on them, not able to get anything, really. The Grand Conjuration finding the counter on top of that. And Shiny Knight does manage to get that stun off Boom, but again, the healing between the two of them is just too much. Boom also avoiding the frozen gallery just barely, so that's allowing for them to stay in this match, and my goodness, they should have died 3 times by now for the amount of times that they've been pressured by Shiny Knight. Good on Shiny Knight, though, get that orb, get the extra damage in. Clearly, they need to be able to survive in the attrition setup. That is the way this game is going. And right now, it's still uncertain. I mean, the HP advantage is definitely in favor of Egghouse, but not by much. Nice and well-timed weaken as well, and that's allowing for a bit more damage in there. Ooh, the Condemned did not manage to find what it needed in the Frozen Gallery, finishing off the Natty. And with Natty down, that is an opening. There's still a possibility of a cross kill. This Lightning Strike is opening things up. Shiny Knight could go down, and that counter against the Elusive Strike does mean that Shiny Knight did not get an easy in cap, and that could very well still be the game for Egghouse. I mean, it's very clear that it's a matter of, can they get rid of Boom? Can they make that into 2v1? It's unclear so far, as other types of Morning Dew are on point right now. I mean, I Got Vaxxed, Morning Dew definitely focus on Puma. They aren't so concerned about getting rid of Boom, and that makes a lot of sense, but it doesn't matter at this point. It is going to be Egghouse moving on to the next round, and Egghouse, well done. 2-0. 2 3-0 rounds into the semifinals, as it is going to be uncertain who their opponent is. SG Represent and Battlerite has not finished their match. So with that, we will have a bit of a wait. I do want to focus on a little bit on what was going here. 829 damage, not bad for overall. Really, Puma was just bringing their A game completely when it came to how much damage they dealt. Although, to be fair, I Got Vaxxed. Again, that was the big point of playing Alicia. Get that damage potential in there, and it's just a matter of the combos. It's not really as much damage potential as when you get the damage in there relative to your opponent's healing. I really like to focus on Jid Boom in round 3, and it's clear that there was openings there, but unfortunately Shiny Knight did get a bit of damage early on. They got down to half HP and had a hard time recovering from that, so not the most ideal situation. Still, though, that is going to be that match, so it looks like we're going to have the next match. Not sure it's going to be playing on that, but we're going to be a short break until then. I think that might actually be the S2 Represent match. I'm not entirely sure. Regardless, we're going to have a very short break while we're waiting for the next match. But don't go away, because we will have that match. And again, if you want to help with prize pool, hit !donate. All the money will go on top of the $220 that we've gotten from SLS. So it all goes to the players, and it all helps out make this tournament that much more hype. So back in a sec. Oh. Welcome back, everyone. We are going to be going into the next match right now. We have Political Army versus Hyper Gay, or also known as You Fools, because You Fools is on that team. I'll just go with that for now. And that's getting started. We're going to be on Blackstone Knight right off the bat. It's going to be the same map as last time. Those pockets. Those pockets. Everyone knows the pockets because they're a pain in the butt. Anyway, we have Battlerite going in as Esmo, You Fools as Rook, and Carbonated as Shifu, so no support. Okay, well, that's going to be interesting. That'll be... I don't know how you're going to survive, but best of luck to you. I've not seen a supportless team in 3s ever? I can't think of a tournament I've ever seen a supportless team in 3s. We saw double support just now. We are seeing it again as KJP gone for the older while Clarinet on the Ulrich. And again, it's Ulrich, Freya, something. This is a popular setup in the Asian region. I mean, was informed about this the other day, actually. It's not just... I'm not speaking out of my butt here. I was told. Thank you, Adriel, for letting me know that this is actually a thing. That Ulrich really found a home here. So yeah, double support comps coming in here against a no support comp. I honestly am not sure how this is going to work out in favor of You Fools' team, because yeah, that is basically a matter of burst damage. They can burst down. They got it. And I mentioned before that burst damage is the way to get through this double support setup, and that could very well be happening. However, the attrition is the problem. As much as burst damage is coming in here, You Fools and Carbonated Drink have found a very difficult time actually getting in for free. All the trades have been unfavorable, and at this point, Carbonated Drink could very well go down in like 2 seconds. There's a time travel, very nice Tempest Rush to get away from that, but at this point, Carbonated Drink, they have their counter up. That's about it. And now that that's down, they are basically out in the open. No one's going out to punish them, though. Much more concerned about getting rid of Batcry And quite frankly, I understand, because you want to get rid of that damage dealer. You want to get rid of that ranged. And honestly, they can live. I mean, really, it's not Political Army's job to play the burst game, to play the game fast. They can take as long as they like. They just need to last as long as they can. At this point, Political Army taking a very convincing opening round. And that is likely to set the tone. I mean, again, this is going to be supportless composition coming in here. And that is, like I said, you don't see it. You don't see it because you can't survive long games. And against double support who wants all the long games, you're going to be getting the long games. Unless you can kill off a player 100-0 inside of the first 10 seconds. Which they seem to be trying to, but I didn't notice the backline support. And honestly, not just that, but of all these three, even Older, you can kind of get after Older, but Older has the Time Bender, they have the Shifting Sands, and since they're not going to be too far away from the rest of their team, it's difficult to separate them. Battlerite could theoretically separate using the Chaos Grip. Otherwise, it's not really much of an option. Carbonated Drink also has the Harpoon, but again, not really the best of options. That's only going to be able to separate a little bit, and the Shifting Sands will happen, and everything will be back to normal. And indeed, there's the Shifting Sands as KJP goes out right next to Clarinet to try to maintain their position. And that is working out beautifully. As Carbonated Drink, while they are going for KJP, they aren't managing to find that much. Not for free anyway. Still, though, this is the exact focus that no surprise they're going for. And KJP is still going down, despite all the escapes coming in there. The cross kill is being set up against you fools. They are going down. So with that, you fools, they are going to be still in a 2v1, sorry, 2v2, but this is a 2v2 that is winnable for either side. One of the supports is down. Still, though, Clarinet with that Ulrich, they're finding damage. They're able to heal up. And now the separation off Battlecry. Battlecry in the corner, only saved by Carbonated Drinks and the Tendon Swing going. And that is still a matter of whether or not Clarinet goes down. Carbonated Drink doing everything in their power to get rid of Clarinet, which makes a lot of sense. That is the last support left. If that goes down, it is going to be very difficult for anything else to go differently. And Clarinet getting Grimoire. No! No! That intervene! Last second intervene. Well done, Clarinet. Just a matter of getting Battlecry out, and if Battlecry goes down, then with that, Carbonated Drink has very little going for them. They have possible cross-kill opportunities. Went for the Tempest Rush. Tendon Swing is there. I mean, they got Tendon Swing. They're going to go for it eventually. And yes, they do. The Whirlwind as well, but against no one who's weak enough that's going to make a difference. Carbonated Drink, however, it's honestly hard to tell, but now it's easy to tell. Carbonated Drink going down. Thanks to the Crusade coming out from Clarinet. And Plish will go Army. Plish will go Army. Taking very... Well, wait. That's not at 2. My bad. I'm sorry. That was the last round score. Plish will go Army has not won a map yet. They have, however, gotten to the point where they could very easily win this map. They have one round left, but it's maybe not easy. Easy is the wrong word to use, because burst damage is coming in, and we are seeing the weakness of the double support comp. Or at least we're seeing the possible weakness. I mean, KJP is playing much more defensive this round because they know they cannot play this carelessly. If they go forward at all, they will die. And if they die, then their teammates are going to have that much harder of a time living with that one fewer support. But now the trap has been set and sprung as you fools going in there and getting comboed to death. The Condemned coming in there onto Carbonated Drink to make sure that they cannot interfere. Tendon Swing should be up in a sec, and when that happens, only one in cap. So the combination of that and Smack allowing for a little bit of momentum, possibly being able to get rid of Clarinet, but that's more a question of whether or not Clarinet's going to be able to deal any damage now that they're at such low HP. Actually, I really think that's a smart strategy. If they can get Clarinet down, that's a little bit of extra tank that's not available. But it's a matter of whether or not you fools get comboed again. And you fools does not get comboed. The stun does manage to get Carbonated Drink, and Carbonated Drink does go down thanks to the Thunderstrike double ult, taking them down. And you fools, if they can get the cross kill on Clarinet, or in general, that team can get the cross kill on Clarinet, then there is an option. But it looks like the time has passed, and you fools could very well go down. Getting the orb, so what they need, it's all they really have for healing. But Clarinet is just not letting themselves get into a bad position, and you fools is not working with Battlecry to take them out. So with that, Political Army takes the first map. Again, this is best of 3, so it's possible that the second map will go over to their opponents if they actually decide to go for a support. Oh. Oh, okay, the reason they're saying that is because Plish, the player, is apparently 24. As to my understanding, that is the age at which South Korean men must join the army. Because, again, for those of you not familiar, not that I want to really get into international politics at the moment, but South Korea has been in a state of war with North Korea officially for the last 67 years. Yeah, the Korean War never actually ended. It's a ceasefire. There's been a ceasefire situation since 1953. But since they are officially at war, to my best of my knowledge, they have a draft. Oh, 19 and 30. Thank you. Okay. Codex TV is making it a little bit clearer. I was under the impression it was 24. I was very into the StarCraft scene back in the day. So my understanding was that the teams didn't like to have players who were any older than about 20 or so, because they only get a few years out of them before somewhere between 24 to 26, they joined the army for a 2-year service. Or 18 months, sir. 18 months tour of duty. But 19 to 30, okay. I'm guessing that's by Korean reckoning, 19 to 30. And thank you, Codex. 24 is apparently the age that a lot of people go because that is the typical university graduation age. Which makes me wonder how that works for people playing StarCraft, because as far as I know, pro StarCraft players defer university until after the military service. Like, they go pro StarCraft up until their 24th, 25th-ish birthday, go military for a couple years, and then go get their degree in university. That's my understanding. But then again, that's also 10-year-old understanding. And yeah. That's 10-year-old understanding based off of following the StarCraft scene back in the day. Anyway, outside of more realistic matters, we're back to fictional fighting. And yes, the Korean Air Force Pro Team used to have a StarCraft Pro Team because Boxer had to go to the army. That's the entire reason that the Air Force team existed. They were also consistently bottom of the league. I mean, it's kind of hard to practice StarCraft well when you're also, in the army. But yeah, they were consistently bottom of KESPA. Granted, that's bottom of KESPA, so it's still really good. But yeah, that was always a thing. Basically, they wanted Boxer. They wanted someone to keep Boxer in the game, keep Boxer in the scene, and that's what they did. Anyway, back to the game proper. Back to Battlerite, not StarCraft. 2 different games. We do have the exact same composition as last time. No change in the player, just possibly change in strategy, and I'm not surprised. High Brigade knew that they were getting mileage in there, but it's a question of how much they can actually keep their opponents separated, and the answer is not very right now. Political Army, they are getting that damage onto the Rook once again. You fools, they are having a hard time finding the momentum they need, and that was a great stone glass. But at this point, it's just a matter of whether or not it's actually going to work out, because at this point, it's, despite all the well-played play, KJP could go down. That time travel, perfectly timed, however, that's opening up Carbonated Drink, and with that, it's just a matter of whether or not Carbonated Drink goes down before KJP, as it's very clear you fools wants KJP dead. And Carbonated Drink, able to get rid of the Freya for time being. Just in-cap them out of the way. But that's also where they're fighting primarily, and Plish is confident, clearly, that they can take this out no problem. So with that, it's still an even match. It's still relatively one good combo coming in from you fools' team could finish off their opponents. Get rid of KJP or get rid of Clarinet, or right off the bat, that'll be it. But it looks like that's not going to happen. In fact, the opposite is going to happen. Backcry getting comboed with the Lightning Strike, and Condemn off the Clarinet. Not quite the right timing, but it's fine. It's fine. I like the use of the iframe. Bit of a shame that it was misjudged a touch, but still, you fools will go down in a sec, and that is going to secure the round. So, oh, nice time travel on top of that. So, round 1 of map 2 goes to Plish will go Army. So, pretty clear that Plish will go Army's got a very strong situation here. Well, High Brigade, they're trying. But again, triple DPS comp. That is, as the chat is pointing out, a glass cannon. A very glass cannon. Apparently they couldn't find a support player before the tournament, which is a bit of a shame. I do like how they're setting it up, though. I feel like this, with a support, I could see this working. But the thing with the support is that it's a question of who do you take out from the burst damage. I would say, swap one of you fools or Carbonated for Shifu, for Xander. Although you could swap Backcry for Xander. Although I think, no, Esmo, got the Esmo, got the damage in the back lines. Granted, he could also swap for Ulrich or swap for Sirius. Oh, you know, yeah, Sirius, Shifu, Esmo. We've seen similar compositions work in NA all the time. So that could totally work, but at this point, the split up is a bit too much to make that really work here. Time travel not mentioning to find much. Carbonated drink, very nice fleet foot off the reaction, but even then, it is going to be another bit of combo against carbonated drink, and that extra bit of damage means that carbonated drink will not be able to get in and engage without probably dying. Managing to get some damage in there, get a tendon strike, but that thunder strike, oh, that was exactly what I was thinking was going to happen, as that means there's a 2v3 situation here for a team that has no support and really no cross-skill opportunities. They do have another round after this, should they lose it. But at this point, this has got to be demoralizing. Still, that is, like I said, a possibility going forward as a way of dealing with this more double support-focused composition is have that extra damage in there. I do think Xander is not a bad choice. I think Sirius is another good choice just to run forward. And I don't expect we're going to see that change up, seeing as this is the second map and it would require a win with this composition for a change to happen. But again, this will be what happens. Best attempts coming in here from Hypergay, but that is going to be, I'm sighing because that name, but yeah, you Fools' team, they're going to have a bit of a hard time. One more round, maybe. I like the fact that they were focusing KJP. They have managed to get kills off that. It's just a matter of actually managing to find that focus, especially as their opponents are together and they don't have a whole lot of separation room. That being said, Harpoon. Harpoon is the thing. I could see a Harpoon coming out there and just, that would be carbonated drink, getting the separation for their team. Also, the other thing coming in I noticed is that U-Fools does rush in. I mean, no, it's U-Fools. It's not, they're not Fools. They're not rushing into Angel's Fear. Well, they are rushing into Angel's Fear to tread, for sure. They're just not finding a whole lot of mileage in the process. But that's the thing. This composition coming in here from Political Army is really good at just collapsing on anyone who goes forward, and that is exactly what U-Fools has noticed, that they are holding back a bit. Making sure they don't get caught out, and that I like. And at this point, in fact, the opposite is happening with Plish being far forward. There is that possibility of collapsing, but they have managed to incap U-Fools, and at the same time, Carbonated Drink trying to take that 1v2 in the back line against the supports, and finding very little value in the process. As Clarinet, they are still playing a melee support, and that is showing. So at this point, it's, again, attempts to focus on players, but not as much coordination we saw earlier. And now with that, there is still the Grimoire, but it has been avoided. The Thunderclap coming in there to iframe that, and U-Fools, the only melee left on Hypergay's team, or the team U-Fools, on their own team. They're it. And that is especially true as Backcry goes down. So overall, double support, bit of a strong thing, bit tough to deal with. I'm curious if this is going to go forward, though, because Political Army, they are going to be up against the winner of SG Represent and Egg House, which is, in fact, going to be the next match once this is done. So SG Represent is the second best team in the Asian region. That is Devilish, who is an amazing melee player, Yane, who I've seen a lot of, but can't remember exactly what they do, and Tuni, who I know of as being Iva. Not an Iva, just Iva. Like, Tuni, they play a mean Iva. But U-Fools, though, I gotta say, I'm impressed. They have been holding on to this 3v1 for most of this round. Like, that is an amazing amount of time to hold on to a 3v1 for. Oh, and apparently, oh, no, Devilish is playing support. Interesting. Am I wrong? Tuni? Tuni's not Ava? Am I totally remembering things wrong? I must be remembering things wrong. Okay, I'm sorry. Tuni's Croak, my bad. Why? Ow, I was completely backwards. Sorry, my memory's failing me. My excuse is that it's midnight. Thank you. You guys are on. You were keeping me honest here. I appreciate that. I'm also feeling kind of embarrassed, to be quite honest. But I appreciate that you're keeping me in that honesty. I don't know why I said that. I am so sorry, Tuni. At least I'm pronouncing your name correctly. That much I remember. Not calling you Tunny anymore. So, hopefully that at least patches over some of that. Maybe I'm just getting this weird confusion with the fact that the best Croak player in North America, Jeter, switched off to Iva for a while. Maybe I'm just mixing up the two. I don't know. But anyway, that's fine. We will have Toonie as Croak. Yane is playing Jade. That's pretty cool. And Devilish apparently going to be playing support this time around. Possibly Ulrich, I'm not sure. I really have no idea. Let's see. We should have the invite. There we go. Thanks, Toonie. We're going to be a Blackstone Knight first as well. So, oh, okay, so Yane is a really good Jade. Thank you, Codex. I thought they were. That makes sense. I seem to remember that. So I'm really happy to see that, because I am a Jade main. I haven't been super playing them as much recently, just because it's been... I mean, it's one of those things that's kind of tricky to play sometimes. Like playing range when you're a bit tired. Not always the best situation, all things considered. So, that's a tricky thing. But yeah, Jade still is my main. I am very excited to see this. But apparently they're also really good Esmo. Okay, so we are going to be starting out with... Looks like Croak coming in from Toonie. No surprise there. Oh, I'm from Canada. For those of you wondering, I am in Canada, Western Canada. So I'm not in anywhere in the Asian region myself. I just like to cast it because it's good stuff. So we have Ulrich coming in for Puma. No surprise there. We saw it was Ulrich, Xander, and Freya. So Ulrich is not for Puma. Ulrich's going to be for Natty. Puma likely be playing the Freya. Oh, cool. Codex is also apparently Canadian. Awesome. So, let's see. We have Esmo coming in, so we are going to see Yane going for the Esmo. And it is indeed going to be Xander, Freya, Ulrich against Esmo, Xander, and Croak. Interesting. Esmo, Xander, Croak. I kind of wonder if Codex is living in Coquitlam specifically. If Codex is Canadian, if Codex is Korean and Canadian, then, like, I don't know. The Coquitlam is just it's a city a little bit outside of Vancouver, but there's the western side of it has a fairly large Korean community. Anyway, that's beside the point. The point is, though, we have another semifinals. SG Represent versus Egg House. The second and third seeded team in this tournament going up against each other. And we've seen Egg House before. We haven't seen SG Represent yet. SG Represent is not new, for sure. By no stretch are they new. They are a very experienced team, full of very experienced players, playing very experienced Battlerite. So I don't expect we're going to see a whole lot of 3-0s. That is something I would be very surprised to happen, because these are two really strong teams. It is theoretically possible that SG Represent will be considerably better. I'm aware that the Asian region tends to have like 2 or 3 teams that are really good, so presumably Political Army and SG Represent, and then everyone else good, but there's a definite line between them. I don't know how it's going to go, though. That's always the exciting thing. I mean, we did see Egg House just have a very fine round of their own. But as I was talking about before, burst damage. We have Xander Esmo, and Toonie's able to set up a lot of stuns in order to make that Xander Esmo even more powerful. So when you combine all that, there is the possibility of enough burst damage to get through Natty and Joboom's combined healing. So, coming off the bat, very defensive setup. Tooney trying to find where they can. I mean, it's clear Tooney is not really much of a frontliner. They want to get in the back. They want to disrupt. So Yane making up for that by playing in the back lines along with Devilish, and that means that they can be vulnerable to a bit of a rush down here, but nice escapes coming in, and that allows for a bit of distraction play from Tooney, and that also means that Tooney can get some setup here. Perfectly timed portal, though. Jilboom knew exactly what was going to happen there, got rid of the portal, or got that portal down, rather, and got out of the dodge, but at the same time, not a whole lot of damage being found on either side. Both teams doing a great job just escaping. I mean, that Grimoire didn't find anything. Now, at this point, good Arcane Catalyst setup, good Grand Conjuration, but even then, it's not finding a whole lot of real value. Venom, however, coming in here, getting the stun, getting the damage. Jilboom at a quarter HP, thanks to that ultimate coming out there from Tooney. That is what someone wanted. Anyone in this team wanted to have some damage like that. However, at the same time, Devilish taking all the damage back, so despite that really nice combo, overall, Egghouse has the HP advantage and could very well be getting rid of Tooney or Devilish right off this next combo. If that happens, well, obviously it's going to be in favor of Egghouse right from the get-go. But SG Represent, they're still in this. They are, however, a bit separated, especially when it comes to Devilish. Devilish has no presence whatsoever, not able to heal their team at all from that distance. So Yane took a fair bit of damage. The Venom coming in here, only managing to find Puma, who was at the highest HP on their team. Still a bit of an opening, but with that orb going over to Egghouse, it's going to come entirely down to whether or not they can take out Jilboom, and I don't see that happening if Jilboom is going to be playing behind Natty, and all that healing is coming in. Still, though, Devilish does have their ultimate. They could set up the Grand Conjuration combo. They could get a lot of damage from that, but looks like, while attempted, not quite managing to find the value, and Jilboom getting away from the Grimoire, as is everybody else. The Condemn coming out there from Natty. Had to burn meter for that, but hey, they got out of there. Still, though, Jilboom very likely to die over the wall. Yane taking them out, and that is an early advantage to SG Represent. Always a question of cross kills. The Aegis finding Tooney, not finding much off the in-cap, though, so that gives Tooney much to work with. Divinity, however, is there, but it's not, again, finding a whole lot of value. So overall, this is a extremely clutch setup coming in from SG Represent. They're not completely out of the woods yet. Very nearly so. It's still, however, been quite the roller coaster emotionally, because, man, watching that, I had no idea whether they survived that. Devilish took so much damage early on, or rather, middle of the round, they took the damage, and that was making it tense. Tooney, however, I like that disruption play. I like the careful element of the disruption play. That's what you need. Like something in the back lines that's able to make it difficult for the Xander to find much damage, make it difficult for the Ulrich to get the healing. Even with the healing, enough damage was bursted down ultimately. It's just opening the round, that was where it was just trading blows with no real value found. At this point, though, it's a very early aggression coming in from Puma, and a very, very early aggression coming in from Tooney, leapfrogging off the Ulrich onto the Xander, and that is making Jilboom having a very difficult time. They do get that Sheep Trick off, but the juke on the Grand Conjuration means that not a lot of damage is going to be dealt to Tooney, and not a lot of pressure is going to be relieved from them. However, at the same time, though, more so Puma's been taking the damage, as everyone else, Yane and Devilish, have been making Puma's life miserable. The 1v2, not able, however, to get that stun. That means that we will see Puma survive a little bit longer, but the HP advantage is so far in favor of SG Represent that this does not seem to be a winnable match. Puma, however, is still managing to stay alive. Their supports are there. They aren't taking the combo, but now Jilboom, they're taking the damage because, hey, if Double Support there, Double Support's focused on the melee, keeping them alive, well, they're not focused on keeping themselves alive. And that is a very intelligent approach. Tooney, however, has been pushed back. Puma finding enough pressure to keep themselves and keep their team in this. As actually have managed to stay at 41% total team HP, roughly, for the last 30 seconds or so. But this could be the end of it. Another portal coming in here to make sure Puma survives. And actually, that is going to work. Tooney getting punished hard for trying to go for that kill. Tempting, but not something you're going to be able to take. Not when you have double support, not against a Fred, not when their counter's up. At this point, the counter should be down for another couple seconds. But they are moving in. There's the counter. It's down, but they have so much HP available that no trivial combo is going to be able to take them out. The Grand Conjuration ultimate not finding anything. That could have been a game changer. At this point, it's hard to say what can really be done for Devilish just to get through this, because SG Represent, they're not able to burn through the damage. Jewel Boom is separated right now, though. There is that option, but it's a matter of whether or not Yane can survive. And if they can, there is a slight combo opportunity here. Jewel Boom is fighting Toonie, however, and they are finding the value they need. Jewel Boom making it a 2v3 3v2 in favor of Egg House. They could very well get them back on the board here, and that would be the first match we've actually casted where both teams have gotten around. That's actually kind of surprising. But yes, we're in the semifinals, and at this point, Egg House on the board, 1-1, map 1 of the second semifinals. And I just gotta say, that healing. Man, that healing, like the amount of healing coming at the very end. I'm pointing out the numbers. I mean, that is one way of looking at it. It's really more a matter of when it's coming in. Although, more importantly, Puma's shielding half their protection, 216 protection. So they survived enough damage to kill them with their electric shield counter alone. Like, that's the thing. Those shields, and also it's worth noting we have hearts coming in here as well. That's also helping out with damage. That is making it very easy for Puma to get in there, deal the damage, and take favorable trades. However, this is the 1v2, and this is a situation where Puma does not have much to work with. Their counter was red, and they themselves took some permanent damage in the process. Not too much, but about a quarter of their HP. Still, though, the orb did go over to Egg House, and at the same time, Egg House is still putting that pressure on Yane, putting pressure on the back line with the Ulrich Freya combo. And of course, Toonie can't really help with that too much. They're able to get the distraction on Jewel Boom, but it's clear that that's fine. Jewel Boom is able to survive that, no problem. And the Grimoire not finding the value it needed either. Still, though, Jewel Boom is in a bit of a tight spot. Everyone else on the team is doing fine. But Jewel Boom is having a less good time of it. However, the Thunderstrike Aegis combo coming in there, the Aegis didn't quite find too much, but the Thunderstrike did. Putting Toonie on the back foot. Still, though, the combo coming in from Puma, that's managed to get Puma down low, but we saw last round, getting Puma low does not mean getting Puma dead. It just means making it very clear that you're trying to get Puma dead. And so at that point, everyone's going to try to heal them up so they don't die. And again, another Grimoire completely stuffed by the use of Condemn. So overall, it's just clearly very difficult to really catch out an Ulrich that knows what they're doing and knows to hold on to their energy for their escapes. So at this point, we're just seeing Egg take a slow burn match, making it very difficult for their opponents to actually manage to get any mileage in here. And while at the same time, Jewel Boom has gotten a bit of it out of position, it almost doesn't matter. A lot of this is that Freya Ulrich, a lot of this is the shields, and from that, it's just a matter of Puma not managing to get a whole lot of damage, and Natty as well, same thing. Getting the shields from there. Wait, that's... that shield... Oh, yeah, what am I saying? Of course, Ulrich has shields as well. Ah, my bad. Ulrich does indeed have shields, and that is the other thing. So between Ulrich and Freya shielding each other, and shielding themselves, getting through that is just extremely difficult. And there's a few seconds every now and then where you can actually find it when the counter's been used and shield's been used, or the Ulrich has no energy available. But those are rare, and this is not one of those times. The Ulrich using Condemn to get away. Ooh, that could have led to a Grimoire, but unfortunately for that is not going to happen, as, well, they're dead. And Natty should have Condemn up by the time the next Venom Wind comes in. So ultimately, there's not a whole lot of options here. The Venom Wind does come in here, and we do see... oh, no Condemn. Natty did not have those. A couple seconds out. So that was nice, but again, it's just a matter of what damage can actually be dealt permanently that really sticks, and Jewel Boom's the only member of that team that has taken any damage that has stuck. So Egg House taking a 2-1 victory off the back of amazing shielding. 231 on electric shield, and Sanctuary getting 235.
No pain.
Alongside on 137 off the hearts. Honestly, I'm curious what we're going to see with Ulrich going forward, because that shielding with that healing, with the overall setup allowing for, well, favor as well, like extra damage and all that stuff, they are making it very difficult for anyone to get in and actually deal damage and actually get any mileage on their opposing team. However, Toonie is going to the back lines, does want Jewel Boom's head. I agree, that is clearly the one who has hardest time staying alive. They have no shields. They have no way of staying in this if they don't have any protection from their teammates. And if they're separated, they don't have protection from their teammates. But the thing is, they aren't being separated. They're still in this, and they're still doing a fine job just keeping Natty on top of them. So ultimately, it's very difficult to get Jilboom down, and we're going to see some damage onto Puma, pull them out of position, and get a little bit of mileage, but it's a leapfrog, and I like that. Because we've seen before, Puma's damage is not meaningful, and the condemn should be coming in here. Ooh, does not come in time, a little bit late, and that means that Natty does take some damage. But even then, it's still a matter of whether or not Jilboom takes that damage, because right now, again, Jilboom is the only one who can be separated out effectively. But Puma is clearly the focus. And at this point, Puma is going in to try to take out Yane. Yane able to get away from there just barely, but still they're at a third of their HP. And while they are able to take some damage, that orb essentially nullifying it, Natty not taking anything meaningful going forward, and Toonie is almost dead. If this goes down, it is going to be map 4 Egg House. Toonie, it is on you, and Toonie goes down. That leaves no good cross-skill opportunities for SG Represent. And Egg House should be able to take this pretty handily. So yeah, Ulrich. Man, I don't know what's going to happen with that. I mean, it's not like Ulrich's anything super individually strong. It's just that they have a decent amount of healing. They have some damage. They have a bit of CC. And they have good shields. And they have the mobility off the favor, which I think is kind of how they have to work. But yeah, like that's the thing. Their entire game plan is protect their teammates. Be the tank. And that works out really well. The question, of course, is how do you deal with that? Because now Xander doesn't have to be support as support. They don't support as healing. Like, Xander is support as support in the sense of someone helping somebody else out. Like, in the more the Dota-like sense. Ulrich is support in the Healy sense, in the way that people coming from Bloodline Champions seem to think supports were supposed to be played, and most supports were supposed to be played. But at this point, Xander is just making that tricky, because you have the damage support and you have the healing support. So with that, double support doesn't feel like double support. It feels like support and DPS just split across two support-type characters. Still, though, this is one round, out of possibly 3. So, the next map is going to be, I believe, Dragon Garden Knight. Looks like that is in... No, actually, that's not the case at all. What is going on? It should be Skyring Knight. Yeah, there we go. Skyring Knight. Which, oof. Okay, so for the type of team that we saw coming out from Egg House here, I feel like Skyring Knight is going to make that a touch harder. Maybe. It's a bit more range-focused due to the openness in the sides, but the center tends to break teams up in a way that could be a problem. Could get Jilboom separated out, and that would mean Toonie can just go ham. On the other hand, that is a combo team. Like, Egg House is trying to split up their opponents to get a 1v3 for 2 seconds, because that's all they need. So it really is a question of whether or not they're actually able to do that. At this point, though, it's just a matter of whether or not the champion picks come in here. And again, I could see Natty going in for that. I don't see Egg House changing. I think Egg House is going to be a bit of a thing, and that's fine. I mean, that's the thing. It's just a matter of whether or not SG Represent can burst through the Ulrich damage protection and healing. Tuna, however, is going for Croak again. And the question, of course, is, are we going to see Yane go for Jade or Esmo? We saw their Esmo, and it was able to get a bit of control in there, but it was having a hard time getting the damage. It was able, however, to get a bit of separation. Like, pull people out of position, make it a bit difficult. So the question, of course, becomes, how is that going to work? Like, are they going to go for the Esmo again and try to really play the separation game hard? Are they going to go for Jade, play a bit more of a protection game of their own, and then try to use the snipes to get the damage they need and get that burst off? Now, Jade Xander is a thing because of the burst damage. So because of that, I could very well see that being the way to go. Jade Xander, that's like Jade Bako Xander is extremely popular in North America. I'm not sure how Ulrich's going to change that, but Jade Xander, that's a thing. And the Croak there, a bit tricky because there's no frontline as a result, but again, Croak can set up the snipe combos. So that's two pretty decent Jade combos that come in there. That's burst damage. That gets through the protection. That could very well be a kill. So at this point, the question is still what is going to happen with that. And it looks like we're going to be waiting a little while for people to deal with some biological issues. So for the time being, I'm just going to take a tiny little break until we get people back here. So be back in a sec. Stay tuned. Welcome back, everyone. We have map 2 set up. Everyone's picked their champions. And it looks like we are getting Jade for Yane. So everyone's wishes come true. Yane is going Jade. And like I said, this is probably going to be a situation where we will see some burst damage coming in here. However, it's Ulrich, Freya, and Older as the counter to that. Not going for Xander on the side of Egg House, which makes sense. I mean, consider Egg House, they're now dealing with the Jade. Their Xander would still be able to help a bit with the damage, but now they're basically trying to out-damage Jade. Or they go Older and then use that to basically punish Jade if they're careless with their snipes. So that's really the question. So you try to make it so that Jade can't get in, or you try to make it so that you burst them down first. And clearly, you're playing double support, you want to live. So this makes a lot of sense. But we are, however, seeing Ulrich for Devilish. So they want to play that melee support, which I like. I mean, there isn't really a front line on that team. Toonie is playing Disruption. They're playing Croak. They're in the back lines. They're in their opponent's back lines, but they're in back lines. So it's a bit of a different approach. However, Devilish totally is going for the front line melee with support, with healing. And between them and Jade, there's going to be a lot of shielding. We're going to see very similar setup on both sides, where essentially neither team can really get kills because the other side is making it that much harder to do because of all the shielding. And why am I not getting... Ah, here we are. But yeah, this is going to be interesting. But on the other hand, we have still like Freya. Actually, Freya Older as well. Okay, Judboom can take a right that gives shields if they use the Shifting Sands through somebody. But it's not quite the same as what Freya has, or for that matter, what Ulrich has. And it looks like Ulrich is going to be going for... Wow, a lot of Smite. Interesting. So it looks like Devilish is thinking they're going to be kind of forward, but also want to make sure they can help combo with the Jade to an extent when that comes up. Or at least set up a bit of range damage. Which is going to be interesting, because I do expect that Yane is going to be playing somewhat forward. Jade is a forward ranged. They're kind of like Esmo. They often are in the front lines. They're often tanking to an extent. So I do expect we're going to see a bit of a forward play there. But I'm not entirely sure, because at the same time, you have Ulrich. Why play forward when you have a teammate that is the tank? Ooh, Timer coming in there, managing to pick up that very powerful snipe. Judboom clearly waiting for the right time to use it, but may not really find that time as they're being focused down very hard. Toonie making it extremely difficult to be an Older right now. And bear in mind, Older does have a bit of a hard time with Croak. They can't really use the Time Bender on them, because Croak just walk around in the shielding. However, the Chronoflux did find a fair bit of value. Still, though, it just switched off. It was Toonie, now it's Devilish, now it's Toonie again. And at the same time, there is still a 2v2 in the center of the map, but ultimately, that's not finding a whole lot either way. But, oh, that stone glass! So, Judboom did find what they needed, and that might combo into a Yane kill, depending on how much Puma value can find, or value Puma can find. But at this point, the snipe off the time travel, very nicely played by Yane. And that should secure at least an advantage for the round. Maybe not necessarily secure the round, just make it a bit easier to take it. Oh, never mind. No, it's securing the round all right. I mean, we have the Condemn coming in here, and possible setup from here on to Devilish, but that is still... Sorry, not Devilish, on to Yane. But Yane, they're fine. Ooh, maybe not, though. No. Yane does go down. It does become the cross kill. And at this point, it's Devilish and Toonie versus Natty and Puma. Devilish and Toonie with a bit more HP, but Natty and Puma have much more in the way of shielding. So it's a question of whether or not they can make that shielding work, and the answer is no! As it's very clear, SG Represent has completely taken this. First round, the second map, goes to SG Represent. And that is a strong showing. They're clearly able to burst through their opponent's HP, and not a whole lot of shielding can come of it. Like, look, 205 Electric Shield, and again, 159 Sanctuary. The same amount of shielding, it's just the timing of it worked out, such that the burst coming in from both Toonie and Yane made it work. Also, though, Toonie was able to get a lot of damage in without having to worry. Unlike the last map, partly because Skywring Knight, it's a lot easier for a Crow to get around, and partly because you have the Ulrich in the front lines providing a bit of distraction. Toonie was able to just wreck face. So whether or not that happens again is the real question. oftentimes you do see the teams will adapt to Croak. And they will realize, okay, we got to deal with the camouflage, got to do shielding, got to do counters, got to do whatever else is needed to make Croak not actually get the value. So it becomes harder and harder to play Croak as the match goes on against teams that know what they're doing. So I expect that's exactly what's going to happen with Toonie, and indeed that's what's happening. Toonie finding a little bit of a harder time. Yane getting Chrono Flux to the face, and overall the HP advantage is strongly in favor of Egghouse as they've managed to get a bit of a read on their opponents. Now at the same time, Toonie is still not heavily damaged and still managing to find a little bit of value onto their opponents, but really more importantly the Thunderstrike coming in here, and that means Yane has nothing going for them. They have so little HP that if it weren't the fact that they had all their escapes up right then, they would be dead by now. And as it is, the bash coming in there, even with Sanctuary, they're still in a tight spot. Although Sanctuary is enough. That does it. Puma goes down thanks to that Sanctuary keeping Yane in the game, allowing them to get that last bit of damage in there. And that means we're going to see a 2-0 setup for SG Represent. Coming in very strong in this round, and yet another time travel snipe just to finish it off in style. So, Yane on that Jade. I mean, Yane on that Jade with one hell of a shield setup. Like that Sanctuary Smoke Veil combo, that was... Or so it wasn't Smoke Veil, it was just regular stealth, but still, that Sanctuary combo, that was all they needed. That was amazing. So at this point, it's pretty clear that SG Represent has woken up. And they have a setup that's working. And I think a lot of that is Scouring Knight. That's giving Toonie loads of room to work with. The next map is going to be Mount Raz Knight, which is going to give a similar amount of room for Toonie. So I think this is a pattern. What we're seeing here is going to be representative of the rest of this match. Of course, that's assuming that we don't just see Toonie get torn apart, although to be fair, that could also be representative. Because again, this is still an advantage for Egghouse, so if Egghouse does lose this, well, they've got a chance still. But Egghouse, they are very likely to at least be in a bit of a tight spot. Natty taking a lot of damage, as Toonie's able to get damage in there and not get responded to. Like, Toonie just able to play this super safe, and at the same time, Puma not able to find much value on their own in the back lines. So ultimately, the advantage is going in favor of SG Representatives. They do take out Natty. And that means this is going to be going on to to map 3. I mean, barring a miracle, but Jilboom going down does not give me confidence in a miracle. So I'm a bit curious if we're going to see the same setup here. We did see the switch over to Older from Xander. And I do understand why we saw that, and it worked out a little bit. Some Chrono Fluxes came in and were able to find a good snipe or two, reflect that back, make Yane regret being slightly careless. But even then, that wasn't enough. Part of me thinks that Xander is still the better option just to be able to punish Toonie that much harder. Like, Toonie gets in, Xander smacks him with Grand Conjuration, Ulrich is able to smack them with basically whatever the heck they want on top of the Freya. And then from that, well, that's basically it. Like, you do both those moves, and now Toonie is at half HP. So, that's the thing, is I could see Xander working out really well here. And I think that's the way to go. And also, if you're not dealing with that backdoor situation, or not in the back foot situation, well, now you have the extra damage amplification. Not that Older is bad for damage, it's just Xander makes everyone good for damage. So, map 3. Map 3 of the semifinal. I mean, this is the last map of the second semifinals. Whoever wins this goes on to the finals. Whoever loses this goes to third place match. And the way the prize pool is working right now, the prize pool is going to be distributed to the top 4 teams. So there's base 220, and that is split up evenly between the teams. So each, like, first place gets $45 each, second is 18, third is 9, and fourth place just gets a gold chest. The other places also get chests, and that's nice and all, but the money is money. However, there's also more money that you can throw in. If you hit ! donate in this stream chat, you will get a link to the Matcherino page where you can add in a little bit of money to the prize pool on top of the existing $220. Right now we have 20, and that is nice. Would be nice to have more. I'm sure the players would appreciate that. And as we see, just on We, the tournament organizer, very, very on point with making sure that they do mention that in chat as well. So you might be able to find a link already. Back to the champ picks, though. We do have Croak Jade against Ulrich Freya and Ulrich Freya Xander. So that is exactly what's happening. Ulrich Freya Xander, we are seeing a switch over to likely more damage. The last one coming in for Toonie is very likely to be Ulrich, considering the last round. But now that they have to deal with Xander, that seems like Ulrich's even better choice, honestly. I mean, at that point, they just want to make sure that they don't have to deal with that extra damage, shield it up as best they can. Could be the way to go. So, what are you going to pick, though? Ulrich! Okay, we have Croak Jade Ulrich versus Freya Xander Ulrich. An interesting setup. Freya Xander Ulrich, we've already seen a lot of. It is a very push-based strategy. You get up forward into your opponent's face, and then you melt theirs. On the other hand, the strategy that SG Represent is going for with the Croak and Jade and Ulrich, that is a strategy based more around the Fortress style. Like, it's Fortress meta, but instead of Paloma Varesh, it's Jade and Ulder. Sorry, Jade and Ulrich. Which is kind of neat. I mean, Jade Ulrich as an approach to this is... I mean, it's a way to go that doesn't involve a highly defensive play. So you're basically playing a Fortress style where you have your... You have a melee in your range and your support. Although in this case, the melee is melee is kind of the support as well. But you essentially have people going up front to stop your opponents getting into the range, dealing damage as the support heals. But the support is the one preventing the damage being dealt to the ranged character. So it's a bit of a variation. But it still does mean that we're dealing with a slightly longer game. Not as like there's some combos in there, there's some burst in there, but there isn't just the sheer focus on that. It's not like the Xander Jade setup where it's all a matter of damage amp into high damage, massive combo setups. There can still be combo setups, but a lot of it's going to come down to just staying alive longer than your opponents. So this will be interesting. I mean, Jade Ulrich, that could... I don't know if that'd break Jade Xander. Like, if we wouldn't... I mean, I don't know if it would be better than Jade Xander, but it could be an alternative, as people have been trying to look for alternatives to Xander for a while now, as Xander's been dominating the picks and support. Just because, again, damage support, you don't get a whole lot of that, and it's extremely useful. At this point, though, that may be a problem nonetheless, as Toonie going right ahead for Puma, wants to get rid of the Freya right off the bat, and actually, that is a nice trap setup here, but Toonie more used them for that for the leapfrog, taking out Jilboom as best they can, and Jilboom, they're feeling it. That pressure is pushing them back, and Yane and Toonie setting up the combos. We do have Natty coming in there with the Ulrich to provide a bit of support, but that in-cap off the Deceit is going to make it much harder to do that, as Devilish also the Condemned to set up even more of an in-cap, and it's very clear that the team has coordinated onto Jilboom. They want Jilboom dead, and they might get it. Remember, this is a double support team. This is still hard to do, but it's done. Jilboom is down, the orb goes over to SG Represent, and SG Represent, they have to get through two full health players, but they're going to have no problem. That combo off the Venom Wind into the Camouflage, doing the trick onto Puma, while at the same time just consistent damage on Natty is bringing them down to 0 HP, slowly but surely. Although, I say slowly, that was a bit of a bad turn of phrase there. Definitely surely, though. So with that, SG Represent, they are ahead one round. Because bear in mind, they are up one... I forgot to... They are up one round. They are one round ahead. If they take the next two rounds, they have this. They're in the finals. They are guaranteed money. But otherwise... Oh my goodness, did I seriously? I'm sorry. Okay, let's see if I can rearrange this stream. So I forgot to transition into the actual game. My bad. I am sorry. Amazing plays, Twitch Radio! And coming in here, Puma is doing a fine job getting in. Puma ahead. Puma's in first. We have Jilboom coming in second. Jilboom is bringing out Puma, and Puma will be falling behind as Jilboom is getting close to the rabbit. Oh wait, Battlerite horse racing. That'd be an interesting thing. There's a game mode idea for your SLS. Some kind of a horse race mode. Actually, I don't know how that worked very well because the characters have basically the same walk speed. Anyway, that aside. It is more a matter of Natty. Like, the race here is Natty having their health speed run. Like, your support any percent is exactly what SG Represent is saying here, as they have taken out Natty. They're taking out Judboom next, and there wasn't a whole lot that could be done to stop them. The sheer focus coming in here from SG Represent was absolutely brutal, as it has been, and ultimately, it's just a matter of tuning able to get that mileage in there. I mean, like I said, I understand why the Xander pick was taken, but it's hard to say what that's going to do because Mount Knight is so open. It's difficult to actually stop Toonie, or difficult to set up in a way that Toonie can't really get around in the same way that we had in the first map in Blackstone. Or sorry, it wasn't. Yeah, it was Blackstone. Anyway, that's the thing, is that's hard to deal with. That is a tough thing. So with that, SG Represent, they are on match point. They're going to have one more round potentially to deal with this stuff, and if they do that, they should be able to... Well, they're going to be in the finals. Not should be able to, they will be in the finals. That's exactly how the tournaments work. And this is a matter of whether or not they're able to get the damage. Then Natty playing a bit more defensive now, thanks to what happened last time. But we're seeing the common setup, the corner, the anti-aggro corner that every team getting aggroed against on Mount Knight goes into, and usually does not end well for them. And this is likely no exception. Judboom getting full pressure off Toonie, and not a whole lot of counter here. The thing is, Judboom hasn't really managed to get a position where they can stably set up damage. Not in the same way they were able to in the first round. And that's the big reason why Toonie's able to get the damage in there, is because no one's stopping them. No one's able to really help out. Yane, however, is being punished for that and actually being taken out very early on. The cross-skill opportunities are scarce, as Judboom did not take a whole lot of damage, all things considered. So while we did see the damage not coming from Toonie, we do see it coming from Yane, and without Yane there, getting the burst damage needed to push through the double support composition is going to be darn near impossible. If it happens, it'll be amazing. And it could come in here. Judboom is getting targeted for a bit of double focus. But even with that cross kill coming in there, that just evens things up. So we have an even 2v2. Again, Freya versus Croak with Ulrichs on both sides. But the Ulrichs on both sides have slightly different HPs. And they're just finding value, at least one of them. Natty still has the Rages up, but no, instead going to use the EX instead. And that does not work out. The shielding didn't really help them too much in this instance. And that means without a miracle, and there's potential for a miracle, Thunderstrike is up. But without that, Puma is done. Puma looks to be setting up, however, trying to get that static going so they can get the 60 damage off that ultimate, but it's not going to be enough. No ultimate will be found. And Puma, having died, lets SG Represent go over to the finals to face off against Plish Will Go Army. Same time, we're going to have a third place match, which will be between Egghouse and Hypergay. Seriously, Hypergay. Anyway, that'll be up shortly. And if you're wondering why Ulrich is not nerfed, they're new. They just popped in. Like there hasn't really been a change to the champions. They seriously were dropped in the game like 2 weeks ago. And usually Stunlock takes about a week, maybe 2 at least, before they start even thinking about doing any balance. There's no, a month or 2 before they start doing any balance patches. So we're gonna have the third place match in a second. And that is going to be just after a short break, so until then, stay tuned. And again, if you want to contribute to the prize pool, it is 220 base off SLS, but we do have money from Maggiorino that is from you guys. So if you want to help out, !donate in the Twitch chat to get the link to that, and then you will be able to help out bring out that prize pool. And join the likes of Johnny Brova, Shiny the Night, and Just Ennui, who's also the tournament organizer, to... Just Ennui. The other two are legit. Like, the other two are just people. But I can have to... Okay, I'm eating my foot here. Shiny Knight, Johnny Brava, they've donated. Anyone else wants to help out with the prize pool? There's the link in chat. Just Ennui's kindly enough thrown that link into the Twitch chat. So until then, stay tuned. We'll be back with the last, or the, not last, the second to last match. And then the finals following third place. Welcome back, everyone. We are into the third place match. The Battlerite Asia number 5 tournament. We have Egg House versus... Wait, not Plus Army. I got that wrong. Egg House is up against... SG Represent. No, I represent. My excuse is that it's 1 a.m. That's my excuse. I'm sticking to it. So yeah, we have Egg House, who is fresh off the loss against SG Represent, a 2-1 loss. Actually, it was a pretty close overall match series, so well done to you guys. And it's... don't worry about me. I'm just making excuses. Anyway, so Hyper Brigade versus Egg House. This is going to be interesting. I mean, we have seen Hyper Brigade play a bit earlier where they were able to do some stuff, but it seems like they had a bit of a problem actually getting the burst in. And actually, it's interesting because we saw just now, and it was Ulrich Croak Jade. Now we're seeing Ulrich Shifu Jade, which we saw earlier. And Ulrich Croak Jade did a number on Egg House. And similarly, we are seeing the older be played here. Jillaboom going for that because it makes sense if you think about it, really. I mean, I mentioned before, that does allow for stopping the Jade getting in. But this is different because there's no Croak this time. I'm curious, though, if we will see a switch over to Xander should Egg House lose this. But I have a feeling Egg House is going to be in a bit of a strong position right now. I mean, they've just been practicing against this exact composition, or this very similar composition. Chief instead of Croak, of course, but still very similar idea. And they've got some ideas what to do about it, and they're actually tested here, and it looks like they found it. Clearly the answer is be careful about separation, and make sure to separate your opponents where possible. Puma, however, chasing after Jade wherever they can, but not managing to get much. However, they are managing to get a lot off the Ulrich. Ooh, there we go. That's exactly what they want to see, and that is you fools potentially going down early with very little value found for their team, because really, look at the overall HP source, 80% HP left. Almost no permanent damage has been dealt. And that is going to be you fools going down. Bat Cry could very well go down right afterwards. And yeah, that is a Thunder Slam to finish off Bat Cry. So we have a very convincing early lead from Egg House as they take this first round and first map and show that, yeah, they know how to deal with this now. Or at least they know how to deal with it with this team. I mean, SG Represent, they were playing this considerably differently. The fact that Tooney's not in the back lines helps. However, I also pointed out last time that Blackstone Knight made it a bit easier. The way the walls are set up made it harder for the Croak, in that case, to really get around and really manage to get in the back lines and disrupt things. But now we're seeing a Shifu, and that's not even trying to get in the back lines and disrupt that as much. Occasionally, yes, but not as much the focus. But again, Blackstone Knight makes it even harder, because there's not even stealth to get around with that. It's just having to get through the walls that easily split up your team, and yeah, that's that's clearly making it difficult to get around the back without your opponents already being grouped up together to punish you, and that's what we're going to see Carbonated Drink try to do. But they got pushed away. The Time Bender making it, the Time Bender making it hard, and at this point, matter of actually trying to get in there. I mean, Carbonated Drink able to deal some damage, but ultimately they're being punished hard for everything they try to do, and the blind being placed onto Battlecry thanks to that little aggression coming in from the Shifu. Still, though, managed to get some Tempest Rush in, managed to get some good use of attrition, and ultimately, while it is going in favor of the Egg House, it's not going in favor as strongly as last time. There's a bit more room to work with the Battlecry. Nope, never mind. Battlecry getting hit hard by that Thunder Strike, and that is going to make all the difference. Jibim not managing to find the time travel stun, but still, that positioning is enough. So at this point, it's just a matter of who they want to have dead first. Carbonated Drink or Battlecry? The answer, pretty clearly, is Battlecry. But it almost doesn't matter. It's just take your pick, take a focus, and Carbonated Drink having no escapes left other than their Javelin, and having already used one of those, it's pretty much a focus time for them. And that is what we're seeing coming out from Julbum. They've realized that it is the case, but at the same time, it's no longer the case anymore. But Battlecry goes down first regardless. Carbonated Drink, they're still in this, and only for so long. So first off, we have to say so long to you fools as they go down next, and with that, it's a very clear advantage for Egg House. So right now, Egg House is playing this carefully. I like it. Ooh, nice end Aegis. I like that. Cleverly done. But anyway, I like the way that it's being played. Egg House is... they're being careful. They're making sure not to get too caught up in their opponent's attempts to disrupt them. Anytime they see Carbonated Drink on the back, they sometimes punish, but a lot of the time they just let Carbonated Drink have their fun, because ultimately they have shields. 237 an electric shield, and another 266 in intervene. So 500 shields. Almost exactly 500 shields. And getting through that's not easy. There's a possibility. I mean, you have Tendon Swing into Snipe. I could see that working. But I haven't seen a whole lot of Tendon Swings coming out from Carbonated Drink this round. They've been focusing on using their energy for Tempest Rushes just to stay in the match, really, more than anything. Although we should see some Tempest Rushes right about now. But there it is. There's actually that setup. No real combo, unfortunately, off of that. There was a bit of a positioning error, but still, Battlecry does manage to help take that orb. And with that, there's a bit of an advantage coming in here for Hyper Gay. They actually have the options. They actually have potential. And they actually have Natty on the ropes. Natty is down. Finished off by an Impale. And that is a massive opening. Battlecry, potential cross-kill option. But the question of whether or not that is going to actually be taken really comes down to how well Puma is able to do that. And Puma not able to burn through that healing. You fools, nicely done there to keep their teammate alive. This one, though, Puma still wants Battlecry dead, and at the same time, they're not alone. I mean, the teammate's also working on that, but ultimately they can easily get that, and even without that, even if Battlecry doesn't go, or even Battlecry does go down, at this point, it's very difficult to actually maintain the damage compared to their opponents, and really the HP advantage is so much in favor of Hyper Gay that it is going to clearly be a 1-and-1 situation. As, I mean, it was just a matter of finding that mileage. Like, really focusing down Natty, making it difficult for them to help their teammate. They had to help themselves too much, and they had to basically try to deal with the focus down from the Shifu and the Jade. There's always much you can do about that. So, a strategy exists to take down Egg House. There is the option there. But the question is that consistent? Because like I said, Egg House has had a lot of practice with this. They know how to deal with this stuff. It's just a matter of knowing necessarily how to deal with this exact setup, how exactly this particular Shifu is doing it. And also the subtle differences between Shifu and Croak when it comes to how to deal with them in this overall situation. So considering that, I do expect we are going to see Natty play a little bit more carefully. We saw that last game when they were getting in a bit of trouble. And that's exactly what's happening. Setting up a trap for Carbonated Drink to fall into, and that's letting Puma have a field day, just basically taking out Battlecry as best as possible, and at the same time Carbonated Drink taking a lot of damage in the process and not managing to find as much on Natty. Tendon Swing, however, does allow for the orb, so that's one thing. But apart from that, there's not a whole lot that's really working in favor of anyone on the side of Hyper Gay, or at least there wasn't. Time Travel does, however, not manage to find much, and Natty went forward with that, forced to burn and escape in order to get out of there. So at this point, they're just being punished hard. Finally, for their sake, they do have their intervene, use the Crusade, get through with that, and still, however, they're not in the situation they'd love to be in. They're forced to burn meter just to stay with the rest of their team. Not able to use that for condemns. That means they don't have iframes should any time... No, not time travels. Well, in general, should any major damage come in there, but it doesn't matter. The amount of damage, not enough to burn through Puma, not enough to burn through Natty's healing. Natty is separated and a potential cross skill, but that's fine. By the time the focus actually comes back to them, the team is connected again. Natty could still go down, but probably not before we see you fools go first. Again, though, Natty diving into the time travel, not managing to find any connections. But that's fine. Again, 3v2. If you fools goes down, it's a 3v1. Carbonated drink will have basically no chance. So yeah, overall, that felt a lot... It felt different. I mean, carbonated drink, they didn't quite find the same separation they found the last time. The last round, they were able to just get Natty on their own, tendon swing brutally well, and go through that. This round, they got double tendon swings, which were nice, but not much follow-up from that. And that meant that Puma, yeah, they were on their own, but they were also the only real focus, and didn't mean that Natty was going to be surrounded as well. Also, Natty played it much more defensively. Like I said, that's the thing that Natty tends to do in these situations. When they're having a bad time, just hold back, wait till your opponents come in there. Puma's going to be handling the aggression. Puma's the frontliner. You don't need to risk your own life. And that's exactly what they did. So with that, that puts Egg House 3-1, taking the first map. Bit of a struggle there early on. Round 2, made it a bit tricky. But ultimately, this is Egg House with only one more map left to take third place. So what I'm curious about at this point is, are we going to see changes coming out from either side? Because Egg House, they went for the team composition that kind of made sense. They went for the older. And on the other hand, Hypergay, they had... I really don't like that name. Their opponents, you fools' team, they had a bit of a tough time getting in. That's the thing they got... No. They had a... they had a okay showing, and that is what they were using. That was kind of their comfort pick. Or not. No, you fools going for Baco. We are seeing Baco Jade. Probably Baco Jade Xander. Old style. Well, not old style. I say old style is the meta up until last week. But Baco Jade Zay... No, Baco Jade Shifu. My bad. Wait. Oh. Oh, they're doing that again, are they? I see. Interesting. So you fools going for a Rook this time around. Sorry, Shifu, not Rook. It's Shifu. Shifu Baco Jade. Okay. That is a thing. That's another glass cannon style build. I do think Baco Jade works better in this situation than Esmo Rook. That, to me, allows for more opportunities for combos. That allows for more opportunities for real burst damage. And that's all they have going for them. But I could see it. Again, though, it's like triple DPS. Triple DPS as a concept. I don't know. This is hell of a map, too. I guess they figure, you know, if we can't burst through them when we have our own Ulrich, we might as well just try to burst through them with a Baco Jade combo, with Shifu in the back lines just doing some disruption. And they could very well do that. I mean, the thing that they're not going to be ending up doing is having a rush into a trap. I mean, we did see before, Carbonated Drink did tend to run into a bit of a trap with Natty pulling back and basically waiting until they got in there, surrounding. But later matches, Carbonated Drink was better able to work around that. So I think that's going to be fairly easy to work with. However, Mount Raz Day, another small map, kind of like Blackstone Knight, does open things up a little bit, make it harder for Egg House, or close things up a little bit, make it harder for Egg House to be separated. But even then, it's actually kind of working out right off the bat. Hard to say, though. Puma, of course, damage on them is not necessarily permanent damage just because of that shielding. And really, we are seeing exactly that. You fools, however, is taking permanent damage in the process. Despite the orb being grabbed by them, they are not able to really deal anything meaningful. The healing is so huge. There's the pressure on Jubiloom. I was about to say, I'd like to see some pressure on Jubiloom or Natty, and we are finally seeing a bit of that. as we get the stone javelin. Tried to iframe that. Good attempt. Got a humorous little thing off there. We also set up a little bit for that ultimate. Heroic Charge managing to get the Ulrich down to half HP on top of the explosive shells. So right now, Natty is not in the best of spots, and this actually is a good setup. I mean, the advantage is still in favor of Egghouse, no doubt, but there is another option. One more good combo could take out Natty, and with that, that would be a 2v3. So long as none of the rest of the team is taking too much damage in the process, that's an option. Natty actually being forced back, that allows for Puma to be damaged, that allows for Jilboom to be damaged without too much healing or shields on them. The time bomb, however, will go down, doesn't manage to kill, does manage to very nearly set up the kill. Battlerite has to be super careful. The shifting sands, how often do you see a shifting sands kill? That just never happens. Shifting sands does deal damage. You might not realize it because it doesn't deal very much damage, but it does deal damage, and that damage, that kills a 1 health opponent. So at this point, Egghouse, they're still going strong. It's clear though that this setup has an option. Like it's just that it's an option that has to succeed within the first 30 seconds. If it does not, it's over. Any amount of attrition, Egghouse wins. But we did see damage in there. We did see the combos in there. We saw Natty take a lot of pressure, and I think the main thing I want to see, or the main thing I think would work, is pressure on Natty or pressure on Jilboom. Pick one of the supports in the opposing team, rush them down, burn them down to the ground. That, to me, is the way to go. Because if you don't, Puma's going to get healed by two of their teammates, will not take permanent damage in the slightest. So at this point, there is that pressure on Jilboom. That's exactly what I wanted to see. And, ooh, double counter. The Radiant Shield does find the snipe, does catch it, does find a bit of a blind, and again, puts a bad situation, makes a bad situation kind of worse, honestly, for Hypergay, but Egghouse, I mean, they're getting a bit separated, they're getting supports damage. That's exactly the thing that they didn't want to see, and with that, they are going to be able to, well, actually going to be under some pressure. Jilboom might be able to get away from this, but no, they have no escapes available. The Shifting Sand still on cooldown, should be up now, but even then, went down to half HP in the process, as did Natty. So ultimately, there is an opportunity here. The HP advantage is in favor of you fools and their team, and that is going to be a possible kill if they manage to get rid of this. But oh, that Thunder Strike is making it sure that it's not gonna happen. Nicely done, Puma, getting in there to save the rest of your team. There is still an opportunity though. Jilboom is still in a bad spot, but oh, that impale right before the whirlwind did mean that not much damage was dealt to no damage dealt to Jilboom, which meant that that focus did not ultimately find the mileage that it needed. And while Jilboom might go down, the cross kill onto no, not even cross kill, first kill on the Battlerite. There's cross kill opportunity maybe on Jilboom, but I don't even see it happening. And with that, Egghouse is one match away from being third place. And also, I should point out that it is worth noting, Hypergay is just a random set of people who couldn't find much of a team right at the last second. So, considering the circumstances, they're doing actually really well for themselves. Like, the coordination issues are pretty clear as a result, but yeah, they're actually doing quite well for a team that's essentially a pickup team against Egghouse, who is much more organized.
I think I have to repent after this.
So with this, I mean, I can see some pressure on Jilboom, I can see some pressure on Natty, but it's just a question of how that's done, and ultimately, it's pretty clear that making that pressure stick remains a problem. Like, Puma's able to peel well, Natty's able to peel well. Mind you, that round really was just turned around by the electric strike from Puma. If that hadn't hit, then it could very well still have gone in favor of Hypergay. Egghouse could have still lost that round. So it's not hopeless. It's just really hard. And every point of damage dealt is a point of damage that is never going to be recovered when Egghouse deals it. So right now, we have Egghouse, again, taking some damage, Jilboom taking some focus, but again, able to shifting sands away from there and not really suffer too much as a result. Puma, however, taking some damage because, of course, the healing was focused on the healers, but ultimately, that's not going to account for much unless a proper burst down can happen. Battlerite looking to try to find a snipe, but at the same time, they're also looking to, hopefully for their sake, not die, as they're down to a third of their HP, and they are not obviously going to be healed up apart from the shards and apart from the orb, and with center control in favor of Egg, it's not going to happen, and that is it. Egghouse pretty much got this. You fools incapped against the wall. They're going down. And carbonated drink, the only one left. And I can't see them getting any cross kills. So with that, Egg House takes 3rd place. And we see that triple DPS is an interesting setup. Maybe with proper coordination could do it, but I think ultimately what we will see as the counter is a team that combines some of the more bursty focus with a support. I think Shifu Sirius Jade or Shifu Sirius Tay, like the legendary setup, I think could work in this situation. Regardless, though, that is that. So we do see Egg House getting 3rd place. So well done to you, Egg House. You have gotten 3rd place. You have gotten at least $9 each, along with a gold chest each. Now that's not least. Of course, there is a donation option because Matcherino works that way. So if you wish to help out with the prize pool or increase the prize pool from the $220 that SLS so kindly donated, well, so kindly sponsored with, then feel free to type in ! donate into the chat. You'll get a link from there. You can use that to throw money into the prize pool, and that will go to the players. But anyway, that is the 3rd place match. So we're going to be waiting on the finals to be set up. And until then, I will be taking a very short break, the likely last break of this stream. Possibly not, though, because it's going to be up to 5 maps, so we could have in between map breaks, not sure. Regardless, finals coming up in just a few minutes, so stay tuned.
found too much pleasure in this victory. I need to repent.
Out loud, did I seriously? I need a third monitor. I'm sorry about that, guys. I literally have like 3 or 4 things trying to make sure I have all the information on the monitor, and it's like, oh yeah, my volume. Oops. I thought I was better at this, but apparently no. Yeah, I don't like doing... this happens to me oftentimes in tournaments. There's always like one time I forget to switch the overlay, one time I forget to turn off the mic. We've had both. Okay, we're good now. So anyway, as I was saying to myself, rather selfishly, that was a match which basically came down to KJP taking a lot of damage early on and having a hard time avoiding pressure. Good juking came out of them, but ultimately they weren't able to deal with the fact that Toonie was able to camouflage combo, and there's another camouflage combo. Oh, not quite managing to find as much, though. There was a bit of a position error from Devilish, so ultimately center control is still in favor of SG Represent, but it's not like Political Army has taken a huge amount of damage so far. Taken some, but nothing unrecoverable. However, with that orb going over to SG Represent, it's starting to become a little bit harder as we do see, again, KJP having that difficulty dealing with damage, dealing with pressure off Devilish, but Toonie could go down, and does indeed very nicely set up a little firebolt there from KJP. The explosive shells does not find a massive amount of value. It does find 56 damage, but it's not nearly enough when they really want that kill on KJP. You get that cross kill early on, but Plish not letting that happen, and Plish very likely setting up for Yane kill. They want Yane's death, that's for sure, but they're not easy. It's not easy. Not likely to get it. Devilish in the front lines as the front liner. I mean, they're Ulrich. That's shields and more shields and the character of shields. They're not getting it through that easily. But even then, 3v2 is 3v2, and it's clear that Political Army has this now. So with the, oh, thank you, Stoic Man the Great. I'm glad. I'm given a bit of a compliment in chat. That, like, I'm pretty good. Thank you. I appreciate that. So anyway, 1-1 on the round. And that is making it very difficult to call. Like, Yane is doing a great job, and Yane is doing a great job. They've been dealing a lot of damage. They've been keeping up with Toonie, because that's the important thing with the Jade Crow combo. Always has been. You want to make sure that you're setting up your snipes when the in-caps come in off the Deceit, and then work from there. It's usually that into the camouflage hit, into more damage off of a bunch of M1s. It's a really effective combo, but it's hard to set up sometimes. And that was done really well on KJ. Sorry, not KJP. It's so hard to see who people are. Done really well on Clarinet. And that is good, because of course you get rid of the healer, damage the healer, they're forced back a little bit. Also damaging Puma, not as much damage onto KJP this time. They're really focused on Plish. I said Puma, sorry about that, Plish. But that almost doesn't matter, as Plish is out of the round for now. Very early advantage in favor of SG Represent. Once again, an SG Represent. I mean, this 3v2 is pretty much in their favor. So this is going to be 2-1 in favor of SG Represent, short of a miracle, and it doesn't look like any Infernal Scorches are up. That is the miracle they could have. But without that, it's going to be yet another match. So it's very clear that this is being decided early on. Like, if KJP can avoid getting hit too hard early in the round, there is a pretty good chance that Political Army does have this. Otherwise, SG Represent is in such a good spot when it comes to how much damage they can deal, how much burst they can deal, how much control they can set up, that for Political Army, they're fighting an uphill battle. And that's got to be painful. But again, it's a matter of whether or not KJP can find some room, and also whether or not Clarinet gets focused. And I feel like in that case, I would like to see Plish and Clarinet hang around together a little bit more. I can see why Plish wants to dance between their two teammates, but if they hang out with Clarinet a little bit more, if that kind of focus happens again, Plish can body block and counter and make it that much harder for the focus to pay off. And again, we're actually seeing Clarinet play a bit more aggressively than I expect. I mean, they got focused down, but they're not playing like Natty was. They are definitely being... They're still in the back line somewhat, but they're not staying too far back. They want to be up there, and almost got the D-shield in the right spot, but not quite. Toonie managed to work around that. And Toonie not really getting punished too hard, but at the same time, Yane taking a fair amount of focus. This is one of those matches where KJP has not taken a lot of damage, and as a result, the damage has remained fairly even. SG Represent is losing a bit of HP, but now Clarinet's taking that focus, and this is really, again, a slow burn either way. But now KJP's got the focus. That's the thing. KJP, Toonie wants them. Toonie's the only one that can actually get them, however. Yane and Devilish focusing more on the center. And this is a bit risky. I do not agree with this re-engage. I do like the fact that the Frog Leap went back out there. That is good. At least get that in. But no! That snipe opening up the Infernal Scorch, allowing for SG Represent to lose a player. And that is without any cross-kill opportunities available. KJP only at half HP. No easy way to take them out. Venom Wind might come in to try to get some value, but Toonie is so low right now, I don't see that working. Double ultimate, maybe. But not right now. Double ultimate did not come up. That is not the play right now. The play right now is just trying to burn down KJP, but ultimately, it's a matter of whether or not Toonie can juke perfectly. And Toonie's doing a pretty fine job at juking as it is. Ooh, Plish again. Perfect timing on that counter. Read their opponent like a book. Now, while KJP is out of this fight, this isn't even really a 2v1 or 2v2 because, again, so is Toonie. So, between the two of them being pretty well unable to participate, this game is a 2v1. Very nearly going to be a 2v0. And that is an even scoreline. Map 1 going both ways. So last round here. Last round, and it looks like Political Army, they have their strategy. SG Represent, they also know they have the strategy. They got to find, like, SG Represent wants that focus on the KJP or Clarinet, and Political Army, as long as they can avoid that, and as long as Plish can get in there and get a bit of pressure onto Yane or Toonie, that makes it even harder. Like, as soon as Toonie takes more damage than about half HP, they can't really get in. If Yane takes a lot of pressure, Toonie either has to save them, or they're, again, kind of stuck. So, ultimately, it's just a matter of making that work. But, again, KJP taking that damage forced back, as well as Clarinet. This is starting out quite a bit in favor of SG Represent. But it's just a matter of whether or not they're able to make that work. And that counter being procced on top of the shield, that could still be a problem. Devilish taking enough damage that they're forced back for a short period. But the trade has come in there. And Clarinet in a similar situation. However, the combination, that combo on top of the in-cap into the Flame Strike, that's opening everything up, and now with that, Devilish is separated completely. There's a 20% HP lead in favor of SG Represent, which has closed up quite a bit thanks to that orb grab. But even then, it's a matter of whether the combos can come in and deal the damage needed. And that combo did not find what I'm sure the teammates wanted. Again, the focus on Plish does leave a lot of room for damage, does leave a lot of room for healing, and that means that this could very easily turn into a win for Political Army, and indeed it will. That Thunder Strike, that Lightning Strike into the Infernal Scorch just to finish off all the team pretty much at once, putting Political Army ahead by one map in this best-of-5 series. Alright. So map 1. Good job there. And hopefully we don't get... Okay, I think we're good now. I will bear in mind the audio. I will bear in mind the fact that I need to show you the game. Again, this only happens once. I've had this happen in other tournaments. It only happens once. So, it'll be fine. I just feel really embarrassed by that because I thought it was... It hasn't happened in a long time. Anyway. Well, to be fair, the last times it was happening, it was tournaments that started at 2 a.m., which makes sense. Yeah. Fatigue would do that. Oh, let's see. What was the next map? The next map... Well, we don't know what the next map is. Oops. I mean... At this point, Blackstone Day and Dragon Knight are definitely maps that people playing, but... But yeah, so probably should write down what maps are being picked. Because that's clearly showing a bit of a problem. Let's see. But yeah, so we're going to be moving on to Blackstone Knight. And then it's one more map at least after that. If Political Army does win this, then it might only be one more map. Otherwise, it could be as many as 2. But yeah, unfortunately, the chat does not keep track of this stuff very well. So... yeah, sorry about that. But anyway, it's going to be Blackstone Knight. Not sure I have no idea what map 3 is going to be. But at this point, we have that. So we have Freya Ulrich against Kroak Ulrich as Freya Ulrich Ashka. So we are not seeing any changes coming in from Political Army. Everything for Political Army is going to be the same. But on the other side, Kroak Ulrich Esmo from SG Represent. So Yane switching off to the Esmo. I think that's not a bad idea. I mean, the Jade switch did make some sense when it had a double support because it was allowing for bursting down, but with this setup, I mean, you have to deal with Freya and Ulrich's shields, yes. But Esmo can allow for a lot more separation, which allows a lot more Kroak combos. At the same time, the damage just isn't as strong. So I think Kroak Ulrich could combo. That I could see. Ulrich Esmo, maybe, but that depends a lot more on Kroak. It depends a lot more on the pulls. But yeah, Kroak Esmo, just not the same as Kroak Jade. You don't get that same setup where it's the in-cap into snipe and you get boatloads of damage. I mean, Chaos Grip deals some damage, but it's not 44 damage. Or 38 without the right, but usually people take the right. So it's not 44 damage. It's about 30. Not bad, not great. Eh. It really comes down to execution. It's a matter of what we're going to see coming out from Yane when it comes to how they approach it, when they go for the Chaos Grips, when they go for the Shackles, if they Arcane Barrier or Arcane Ward effectively. Because again, they're dealing with opponents with shields, but they also have shields that they can apply arbitrarily. So it's not like a situation where Yane is essentially just operating off nothing. Like they have options. It's just that those options are options that aren't quite so bursty. They're a bit more a matter of just wearing down your opponent. They're a bit more pokey. But they're also dealing with opponents that are mostly going to be relying on shields, so poke damage is fine. Now, as long as they're poking during the time when the shields aren't up, they could still deal enough damage that it's going to be permanent damage dealt. And that's all that matters. So with that... man, what are we going to see? KJP focus, that's still the thing I'm looking for. If KGP or Clarinet gets focused, that's still something that tends to be a problem for Political Army. But it's just a matter of how's that going to happen. Blackstone Knight's a smaller map. It's harder to separate people out. That's the biggest thing. I mean, maps like this, it makes it easy enough to get in and deal the damage. KGP taking a bit of damage early on, but clearly it's going to be Plish taking some focus right off the bat. Clarinet seems to be a bit of a favorite, but again, it's hard for anyone on SG Represent to find a good position to take damage in. Or to put damage in. I was taking damage, that's something they want to do. But to deal damage, that's a bit of a problem. So Plish, definitely the focus. KJP finally getting a bit of damage on them, but even then, Plish is still peeling very effectively for their team. And Toonie force backs thanks to that Firestorm from KJP. It's clear at this point they're just going to be going for the Grimoire, getting the ultimate for iframe. Nicely done, KJP. Well-placed Infernal Scorch. And again, we see Political Army take the orb, so Political Army maintains their HP, but not an HP advantage. I should point out that. It is maintaining HP as it is, but it's still 20% behind. And it's a matter of potentially of one good combo, and Plish could be the focus of that combo. They're definitely taking a lot of damage, and that's what I mean. They don't have two healers, so it's worth it to go after that frontline melee, because it might still pay off. And at this point, between Plish and Clarinet, there's not a lot left, but at the same time, Toonie is not so hot right now, is in fact dead. Very dead. Could not be more dead. So with that, a cross kill is needed, and either Plish or Clarinet, both of them having shields, both of them obviously not being great cross kill opportunities, but that's all you got. So maybe we could see the Aegis being thrown at one of them, in-cap them, and then let the Grimoire follow up, but no. Oh, the Grimoire does get in. Ooh, the Lightning Strike uses either an iframe or as a revenge kill, but I think it just came in just to try to get the damage in there, and the Grimoire ending up punishing it. So Plish could indeed be a cross kill opportunity at this point. Especially as the orb goes over to the side of Plish, or sorry, SG Represent. There is the opportunity. There's the opening. But Plish, again, just a matter of do they have the shields? And right now they have their counter. They can easily get their shielding back up, so getting the damage on them is proving to be exceedingly difficult just to hit in the first place. And clearly, they're trying to bait counter. Like, they don't want to hit Plish's counter, because if they do that, then things won't go well. The Grimoire, however, does get in there, does get Clarinet. So, again, every Grimoire makes it that much closer for SG Represent to get back in this round. But the problem is they are relying on kiting. Now that the fog is going in there, I'm not sure they're going to get another ultimate. No, they are not. In fact, that is going to be it for Devilish, for Yane. And that round 1 for map 2 goes to Political Army, continuing their streak at this point.
I think I have to repent after this.
Man, that was a hell of a setup there. I mean, we had that. Like, if you looked at that, that was coming in there with KJP managing to get in, like, getting some damage, but getting out of there, and then Clarinet getting some damage, getting out of there, and Yane taking advantage of all the orbs, taking advantage of the energy gain that Esmo has. The Grimoires were really well done, especially when they were used against Blish's Lightning Strike. It's just 2v3, it's still really tough, and given the amount of shielding coming in there, it's still too much to really push through. Although Nice Arcane Barrier stopping the Firestorm from doing much, Yane able to get some mileage off that, but again, no permanent damage being dealt yet. Still a matter of attrition, still a matter of finding that positioning, and it looks like Clarinet is the option of that positioning as the orb does go to SG Represent, and Clarinet takes quite a bit of permanent damage in the process. So ultimately, Clarinet is the only member of any team that has taken permanent damage, but they're also the frontliner for Political Army, or one of the frontliners for Political Army, and that is leading to even more damage being dealt to them, while at the same time, the only frontliner, Devilish, on the other side is similarly taking the damage, but that's for trade. Ultimately, the damage is relatively even, but I'm seeing potential for some ultimates coming in here, possibly an Aegis being thrown out. Aegis Grimoire, that is a combo. The Aegis in cap lasts for a couple seconds, so that's enough time for the Grimoire to be set up and go. But no Aegis follow-up or Aegis setup either. KJP forced to work around that, but they're working on the Grimoire. But they have the Infernal Scorch up. They're just waiting for that lineup, and it's very likely to come up in a map this size. But ultimately, it's a matter of, that's just going to even things up, maybe. Like, really, at this point, got to bear in mind what's going on. There is that Infernal Scorch, but that's just evening things up. The Lightning Strike on top of that to really put Toonie in a nicely uncomfortable position, but ultimately the damage was already dealt. SG Represent had already taken enough of the HP off of Political Army that even with that nice ultimate setup, it was only at best a stabilization move, not a win move. So with that, SG Represent, even match. 1-1.
Long live the order.
So with that, it's going to be difficult to call again. Also, address something in chat. So people are wondering, who's better, Ulrich or Xander? The answer is yes. Ulrich is a much better healing and protection champion for support, and Xander is a support character entirely designed around building up their teammates, because most of what they do is Arcane Catalyst. So if you have Xander, Ulrich together, you get a really powerful setup where you have one amazing support among two characters. And that's where things get really disgusting. But at this point, we don't have that. We just have the one. And Clarinet doing a fine job staying alive, but taking some permanent damage in the process, as is Devilish. So the trades are even. But ultimately, the HP advantage is again SG Represent, as they are finding loads of support. They're beautifully separating their opponents and staying together as well. Though Devilish did get punished a little bit by Plish. But the point is, though, KJP and Clarinet taking the majority of the damage. And because of that, SG Represent has a massive lead. Very likely will be able to take this round, and if they do, and the next one on top of that, it is going to be even on the maps as well, because bear in mind, SG Represent did lose the first map, but now, Political Army, they are having a bit of a tough time finding the focuses, finding where they can actually split their opponents, and that is not the same for SG Represent. SG Represent, they have everything.
Now do you see the true way of the symphony?
So, SG Represent, man, it's like they've just been practicing so much against this Ulrich setup that they have options. I mean, granted, they are playing Ulrich themselves, but it's pretty clear that we're going to see likely a switch off in Political Army's side. How they deal with this, based on the fact that this setup with only one support and the Ashka, if it works well. But if Clarinet or KGP gets focused, well, it's over. And Clarinet getting focused right off the bat, and that is over. That is definition of over. 20 seconds in, the burst damage coming through, KJP following shortly after, and then that is going to mean SG Represent takes map 2. So it's a good thing I wrote down what map 4 is, because we're going to need that. One way or the other. Possibly map 5 as well, because the way this whole series has been going, it's been very even. I'm impressed. I like it. So, we have one each. We have a possibility of switching for Political Army. They might change up, decide to go for something a little more sport-based. Might decide to go for more damage on their own. I don't know. We are on Scouring Night, though. That is a very open map. That is a map that actually, I would say, doesn't that favor. I say that favors the team that tends to work around crushing their opponents, separating them out, and then winning from there. So that's SG represent. And I do think that's a bit of an advantage going in. I mean, it's even at this point, so effectively this is best of 3. SG represent could still take this. So Political Army, I should say Political Army could still take this, even though I do think that the team they were playing earlier works better on the smaller maps. The Scouring Knight, there are choke points. There's separation. I mean, there's possibility for Freya Ulrich just to focus down the Croak. But again, we've seen earlier, Toonie is just able to play the map. That makes it really difficult for anyone else to get around that Croak. And again, no real change. Freya Ulrich Ashka versus Croak Esmo Ulrich. So nothing has changed in terms of champs picked. It's really just a matter of whether or not it's going to be a match where Toonie is able to get their value in, or if the focus gets on them right off the bat. I say that a lot. I do say that. Anyway, if from the beginning of the match, Toonie is the one being torn apart, then Toonie won't have the options. Like, that's the thing. It's ultimately going to come down to the fact that Toonie can only do so much when they have... what the heck? Okay. Toonie can only do so much when they are being damaged, when they're being focused.
Nice to meet you.
But I do think that it's possible to make it work. Like, basically, this map works well for Croak. They can work around the walls, they can jump around the walls, they can hide reasonably well, and they can get a separation on their opponents also reasonably well. But KJP is playing Ashka. They're not playing Older. They're not playing Xander. So they're playing a character that also benefits from large ranges. And we saw Dragon Garden Day go in favor of Political Army, and that's a similar setup. I mean, not so Croak favor for sure, but definitely that openness, that ranged favoredness. It makes it work. So I'm expecting that this is going to be a much more even matchup. Political Army could very well take this. And if they do, well, then that's just one more for them. Whoever takes this, they have to win one more, and they have the series, they have the full prize. But otherwise, they don't. And then they get the lower prize. At this point, though, Clarinet taking a very heavy focus right off the bat, but it's pretty clear that this is much harder to maintain. We don't see Yane able to maintain the pressure because they don't have as much to hide around, not as much cover to take. And Toonie doing a good job getting in and dealing some damage, but ultimately they are forced to retreat just because as soon as their cooldowns are done, they must escape or they will be punished hard because of that openness. So this is actually working out far better than I expected for Political Army, but even that SG Represent still has that HP advantage. It's not as decisive. They aren't managing to get the big combos, but they are managing to get the damage in, and the iframes coming in as well, forcing Plish to just use that Electric Strike, not managing to get anything out of it other than their own survival. But again, Clarinet's that focus, and Clarinet's taking a lot of damage as a result. So it's always been targets of convenience. If Clarinet's convenient, go for them. If KJP's convenient, go for them. But Yane was convenient, was gone for, and that is Yane down. Possible cross-kill opportunities do exist, but it's a close-run thing. Devilish and Toonie don't have as much damage without Yane. And that means that it is going to indeed be Political Army very likely taking this. Oh, very nicely done off that little punch. That Molten Fist, great job getting KGP out of that situation. And with that, Toonie's going to go down, Devilish is going to go down, and Political Army taking the early advantage on map 3. Which, like I said, that's kind of what I expected, considering that KJP has all the room in the world and Clarinet has room to kite.
Long live the order.
So, from there, what can we say about that? We can say that, Toonie has a bit of a hard time pushing it. Yane also is helping out a little bit, but it's again difficult for Esmo because Esmo is a bit shorter range. I feel like Jade wouldn't have been a bad idea on this map just because the snipe would allow them to take advantage of the range of the map. But either way, it's kind of a tricky situation that separation can't easily happen, especially getting in the center. Once the center has been established, there is room for that separation between the walls, but at the moment that's not so much the case. Now Plish taking focus. That's not usually how things go when it wins for SG Represent. KJP, however, there's the focus on them. That's what I expect. I expect KJP, I expect Clarinet, although Plish actually down to half HP, so we might in fact just see Plish take a lot of damage. Their counter should be back up, but even then, in the time it took for them to get back up, they're very nearly dead, and that means as long as we don't see Devilish go down in the process, that could still be Plish going down, and with that, that could be an even up match. However, it looks like Plish relatively stable at this point. They do have the extra escape off the Electric Strike if they so need it, but I'm not sure they're going to have it in time, and no, they do not. Infernal Scorch coming in here. We could see a second one coming in. No, Clarinet's got the ultimate. We could see the Aegis coming in. Does stun out Toonie, but it's not nearly enough, and with that, SG Represent does take round 2. Turning this into, once again, yet another even start for a map. Again, this is a very evenly... I expect this will be a set of 3-2 maps with a 3-2 setup. Like, it'll be... I don't expect either team to get enough of an advantage to get 3-1 in either map score or win score at this point. Actually, maybe win score. Win score could happen. But I think map score is going to go back and forth. I think we're going for another... I think we're into map 5. Just the way this is going so far. Short of one of the teams finding something that their opponents can't really adapt to, like finding some approach, finding some tactical decision that really works. But I don't see it. I see small decisions made here and there. One time that one team does well, the other time the other team does well. It's all like tiny little things that just... the small decisions making the difference. And at this point, it looks like the small decisions making the difference are the ones involving focusing down Plish again, which, as we've seen before, that actually isn't a bad idea. I was mistaken when I said that it was the way that we see SG Represent lose, because as we've seen, SG Represent has actually managed to make that play out really well, because again, targeted convenience. However, this time around, they haven't managed to find much damage whatsoever. And that's a bit of a problem. On the other hand, Yane has been focused hard, Delish has been focused hard, and it's almost like the opposite is happening, where what we saw before with SG Represent trying to take out KJP, trying to take out the range, trying to take out the Ulrich. Now we're seeing the exact same thing happen from Plish will go Army, again, trying to take out the range, or trying to take out the Ulrich. At this point, though, I'd say they're succeeding. Plish will go Army at a great advantage, managing to get a nice Infernal Scorch off there, and the Grimoire will be able to come in there. KJP taking almost all their HP and damage. 100 to like 25. Just from that one combo, so they could very well go down, and that's going to turn things very much around. An amazing Grimoire. And the setup off the Grimoire, that was perfect. So with that, this is turned around entirely. SG Represent has a great shot at this. No easy cross-kill opportunities present themselves, and with that, SG Represent, if they're up on the board, that could be a thing. The Electric Strike coming in there, but the shield, nice Sanctuary from Devilish to avoid most of the damage from the Electric Strike. At the same time, the Grimoire forcing Clarinet to escape, forcing them to use that intervene, and that means they have no way out of here. The snipe, but the smite being used to try to get an evening out, but it's not going to help out, especially with the Freya dead. And with that, SG Represent, they got the round. One more round, they have the map, and one more map, they have the tournament, but at the same time, Political Army could very well take the next round, and the round after that, and do the exact same thing. And again, like I said, it's small decisions. That decision was Infernal Scorch when he had the advantageous situation, which put them in the corner. Like, the Infernal Scorch wasn't a bad idea. It's just the corner here, that's a corner. Corners are not your friend. At all. Unless you're on the outside of the corner and punishing your opponent for being in the corner. But otherwise, not your friend. Now this round, very defensive opening from Political Army, playing a little bit timid. I can't say I'm surprised, though. They do have to win this round if they want to stay in this map and possibly win it. So obviously they don't want to be going too aggressive, especially considering what happened last time. But at this point, that is just giving center control over to SG Represent, taking that early orb. I mean, a bit of a contest for it, but still worked out in their favor. And Plish taking all the damage in the world because, hey, you're frontline. We might as well. Your healer's not there. And when, wouldn't you know it, Toonie in the back line taking out KJP on top of that. There's the Condemned, not finding much. Plish not able to counter that, just didn't hit anything, didn't have enough range. But that's fine. The Grimoire coming in here, nothing to escape at the counter, trying to be proc to get some extra, no, that wasn't counter, what am I saying? What was Plish even doing? That could not have been counter. Regardless, though, didn't find any way out of that. That is KJP down, that is Plish down, that is Clarinet down, and that is SG Represent on to map 4 with a 1-map lead. Should they win this next map, they've got the tournament. But of course, Political Army, they have options. They're likely to switch around stuff. They're not likely to just stick with the same either composition or tactics approach. But the next map is Blackstone Day. So I'm curious how that's going to work because kind of loud. Because Blackstone Day, again, is one of those smaller maps that I think favors Political Army. Following that is Dragon Knight, which again is one of the larger... Wait, no. You know what? I'm not sure what it really favors, because honestly, the two teams, the way they've been composed is so similar. The only difference is Freya versus Croak, which I do think favors open maps for... Well, I would say favors open maps for Political Army. Sorry, for SG Represent, because Political Army has one on Dragon Day. So, I don't know. This is really hard to call, because again, the teams are so similar. But they're also... Oh, no. Freya, Ulrich, Older. We are seeing a change. KGB going for Older. Down to the wire, they're going for the double support composition against the Esmo, who we've seen before has a bit of a hard time dealing with the kind of double support setup. Jade has a bit of an easier time. Esmo, not so much. So with that, SG Represent, I mean, they're coming into this Blackstone Day. It's a bit of a harder... They're going to have a harder time separating out their opponents to some extent. I mean, the walls are still there. The walls are still an option. But again, it's the fact that their choke points mean that their opponents are likely to be grouped up. So that's an issue. That's a possibility, yeah. But the question, of course, then becomes, well, how is that going to change things? I mean, Toonie, like, essentially what I'm thinking is that they can't... Well, the choke points are there, but they are a bit larger, and they can work around the walls. So Toonie has some options to really make this map work in their favor, and that means Political Army has a bit of a harder time, because we've already seen Political Army, they have some room if they had the Ashka to work for open maps. With Older, not so much. Older kind of wants to be a bit closer, and kind of mid-rangey. Blackstone Day is not bad for that, though. On the other hand, the choke points are big enough that the team isn't necessarily going to be clumped up, so Toonie can take some damage in, can get some hits in, and especially against the Older, who's not going to be able to easily... Older or Clarinet. Older or Ulrich, because both of them have directional shields, and Croak can bypass those. So this is the thing. Toonie, if they can get around those walls and really sneak up on their opponents and really disrupt them, then SG Represent has this. But if Political Army stays connected, then they have a really good shot at taking this map. Opening up, though, a lot of damage being dealt onto KJP, a lot of damage being held up off KJP. So, really, just good, safe play all around. This is a double support setup. It's going to be difficult to deal any real damage. Sustained damage is not going to do the trick. Burst damage is the only real option, and finding it, that's the real challenge. At this point, the Condemn, nice catch on the Condemn on the Arcane Barrier, and that leaves Clarinet open. They have nothing left to stop this. They've used their Intervene, they've used their shield, they have nothing, and that means they have to time travel out of there, which they don't use to stun, and that does not give them any more outs. At the same time, that was also Plish getting damage off the Grimoire, so both these players have taken loads of damage. KGP not even the focus. It's just get Clarinet, get the Ulrich, and finish them off. And I feel like that might be the thing. We're talking about Ulrich possibly being an overpowered healer and being the super strong character because they essentially run as kind of a melee. But ultimately, they don't have as many escapes as melee. They're kind of like Jam in that respect. Jam has a lot of sneaky options and some really easy ranged options. Ulrich's ranged options come at the cost of being able to heal for a little while. And their escapes, they have one. And that's it. Like, they have Intervene. They have a shield. They have the Radiant Shield as a way of stopping attacks coming at them, but that's a directional shield, so Croaks can get around that. And also they need to be facing the right direction in the first place. They have Condemn as an iframe as well, but that costs energy. So their escape potential is a little bit better than Lucy, but they're also playing frontline. So they don't have as much to work with when it comes to actually getting pressured and dealing with that pressure, especially when multiple players coming in there pressuring them. And if they can read that Radiant Shield, well, then the ranged characters can just have a field day because there's nothing that's going to stop them from dealing damage. And again, there's the group shield that comes up, Sanctuary, that's on the same cooldown as Radiant Shield. So again, if the Radiant Shield has been read, well, that cooldown's down, and so you're waiting several seconds before you actually manage to get a Sanctuary up. The ranged characters can go ham. And at this point, with the orb going in favor of SU Represent, that's going to be nice later on. It's a matter of meter building more than anything. Because right now, no permanent damage has been dealt for the first 30 seconds. My goodness. That's not double support, I suppose. But there's the focus again on... Oh, that's not on KJP. KJP, however, does have the time travel and not able to get the stun, but able to avoid the Grimoire, and that's what counts. But at the same time, Plish has been taking a fair amount of damage, and not much has been answered to that. KJP, on top of that, all's being focused. So Plish and KJP now the double focus. And that being said, though, the Lightning Strike off the Petrify, off the Stone Glass, making Toonie a little bit more uncomfortable. They got to be careful, but they do have that Deceit. They managed to get some mileage off that, and more importantly, the Orb and Center Control is still there. So they can get those green shards up top, and they are doing that. Then they're above half HP. They've still got a reasonably good position to be in, and if they can take out KJP, but the focus is there, the Grimoire is there, there's the Condemned to avoid that, but again, that's still just damage that's not being taken, and still follow-up is not really being had. The Condemn only being used as an iframe. And that still could be enough, though. It looks like SG Represent, they have managed to take that orb, but they are behind on it. No, even on HP. So if Toonie can get through this, and they can, managing to get the stun, forcing KJP back, getting the time travel into a really nice triple alt combo here, but it's not nearly enough. Yane able to cover, or both Yane and Devilish able to cover for Toonie as they were stunned off, well, as they're in captain against the wall, stunned off the Lightning Strike, and the time travel came after them as well. Very effective teamwork. And that leads to SU Represent being 1 round away from winning the entire tournament, thanks to that amazing teamwork saving Toonie right at the last second. I cannot believe they managed to do that too, because that kind of ultimate combo, like one more M1 hit onto Toonie prior to the ultimate combo, Toonie would have been dead. That's how close it was. And even then, like that, like the time travel on top of that, into, I'm not sure, it looked like it was, the Lightning Strike and time travel were just about contemporaneous, and that, regardless, worked out really well. And it's worth noting, Plish does have stun when they hit with a Lightning Strike, so they are going to be dealing quite a bit of extra damage when that happens, and, or rather, quite a bit extra setup when that happens, and the time travel just adds to that. Ultimately, though, this round is going the same way as the previous rounds, where the focus comes on to Clarinet, the focus comes on to Plish, and then Loot Frogs on the KJP, and whoever's being focused on is not getting the trades, as the rest of the team, like Yane is doing a great job maintaining this, and Devilish, with those smites, like, they're not even worried about healing too much. Toonie's taking a fair bit of damage, but Toonie's managing to heal up with the shards, and the smites, however, just setting everything up. I mean, it's a possible comeback opportunity for Clarinet with that shield, with the Divinity, but even then, it's just a matter of whether or not the follow-ups come in, and that could, though. Toonie's taking some focus. Toonie's taking some damage. They could go down. The Grimoire is coming in here. Clarinet does have Condemned to escape, and they do. And the time travel finds nothing again, but that's more meter burned. That means that really all this time, Yannick can just rush in there and doesn't have to worry about Chronoflux. Really hasn't. Most of the problem coming in there has been either Radiant Shield or running into Freya's counter. But at this point, that might not be a problem anymore. As long as Toonie stays alive just a little bit longer and doesn't get hit by that Lightning Strike, because that's the biggest problem. That Lightning Strike comes at them, they're dead. I expected to see coming in shortly, we might see Venom Wind. No, there's the Venom Wind. Are we seeing a stun off that? No, we are seeing the Lightning Strike as an iframe. That means it's not going to come into Toonie. That means everyone knows they can just go ham with their escapes. They can go aggressive. They don't have to worry about getting hit by anything except maybe the time travel, which does hit Toonie. But again, there's Yane. There's the Grimoire. They do lose Toonie, but at the same time, they manage to get the Grimoire and manage to burn a bunch of escapes. There could be a cross-kill on Clarinet or Plish. However, if there's any time Plish Whirligig Army might get back in this, it is now. Especially off the back of that orb. So, that could be Plish Whirligig Army getting momentum back. I mean, Toonie took a lot of damage early on that round. They were having a bit of a tough time finding their footing. And at the same time, we were seeing... Oh, never mind. We were seeing Grimoire now finding the damage in. About to say we were seeing Grimoire not finding much thanks to the Condemned, but that was a situation where the Condemned came out slightly the wrong time. But still, it's a matter of, can you bait that out? That's what I'd like to see. I want to see more baiting of Condemn, because it's very clear that Condemn is an escapability. That's all it is. It's a metered escape. You can use it as a way of locking down an opponent in order to get a 2v3 situation, but we've only seen it as a metered escape, because of course it is. Why wouldn't it be? I mean, you're dealing with a move that essentially just gives you about a second of iframe. I'm not sure entirely the time, but it's like about a second of iframe. 0.7 seconds of iframe. So yeah, just to show you all, guys, I haven't had a chance to completely mark down all of Ulrich stuff. But yeah, that is enough iframe. You don't have to worry about the Grimoire too much. But still, that's not really the question. The question, of course, is what is Toonie going to do? Because if Toonie's able to maintain their position and able to maintain their HP, there's a good situation to go for there, and Devilish managed to take that orb means that Toonie has even more room to get that HP going. As Toonie's going for that backline focus, getting the focus on KJP once again, but they're getting hit hard, and the Venom there, the time travel to stop it, as well as the Condemn. Again, no real damage dealt, but the escapes have been burned, and the time travel did not find the mileage. That's the biggest thing to me. The time travel does not have any setups to work with, and so that means there is the opportunity to get in on that older and not worry too much about getting hit hard. But there's a Lightning Strike finding shielded opponents. That Sanctuary coming from Devilish, managing to avoid much Lightning Strike damage. A tiny bit comes in, but not enough, not too much to be healed. But again, we're seeing that double support is really showing where it's becoming a problem. Focus is trying to come in here, but we're seeing, again, this is what I talk about open maps. We have Political Army being in a situation where they're constantly together and constantly able to support each other. And I wasn't sure this would happen on the open map because, again, Toonie can kind of work around. But in the open space, they can still see where Toonie is when the camouflage is done and punish them, even though they managed to stun one of the teammates. And Yane, they're not going to be able to get this. The Condemn's going to come in, and there's the evasion. Again, Yane does not get those Grimoires because the Condemn just stops it from happening. I could see off of a Deceit. If a Deceit comes in from Toonie and then the Grimoire drops, I could see it. If the Condemn gets baited some other way, I could see it. Yane, however, being taken down, and this is going to even things up. SG Represent losing yet another round, and that means Political Army could potentially take this. But again, if, like, SG Represent, they only have to win one round. That's it. If they can find their footing in round 5, they have the tournament. This is still match point for SG Represent. Not for Political Army, though. Political Army, if they win this, they have to go to map 5, and then they can potentially take this. But they're not doing too badly. It's very clear that they've managed to get a read on their opponents. They've got an idea of the patterns. They know that it's basically Yane is trying to deal some damage, get some cow scripts, trying to find some separation, as Toonie is looking for a camouflage, usually on KJP or Clarinet. And then once they get about 20 seconds in, Esmo has their ultimate built up. There's going to be a Grimoire. It's not necessarily going to be done when Condemn's down. That means Condemn can be used, and often Time Travel gets used, and sometimes even Lightning Strike. And Condemn ultimately just burns meter on their opponent's team, and sometimes gets value that way, but doesn't get the burst damage value. Because, yeah, okay, it burns meter, but their opponents are double support. You need to burn HP. So we're on match point for SG Represent, but Political Army could turn this into a map win, which again turns this into a situation where they've got a chance at the tournament again. And there's focus onto Clarinet, managing to avoid that quite well with the well-timed intervene. And at the same time, Devilish just having a hell of a time getting focused down, having exactly everything they were doing before turned on them. Plish just wants their blood, and they could very well get it. At this point, though, it's very clear that Toonie is forced to be the frontliner. Not able to get the orb, though. First time in a while the first orb has not gone over to SG Represent. Plish will go Army is looking very strong here. As while there's a possibility for a bit of a comeback coming from Devilish, they get orb, they get shards, they get their HP back. But they're at such low HP, 56 HP. I mean, static into Lightning Strike, which is a possibility, like an immediate possibility, is still going to be that. Just Lightning Strike on its own right now, actually. Like, that's the thing. There is nothing Devilish can do if they don't have their escapes up and a Lightning Strike is coming down on them. So, Plish having a great time here. The time travel coming in here, use that as an escape. Again, burning meter, but not ultimately managing to find damage. Granted, in that case, there was no follow-up either, but ultimately it doesn't matter so long as damage is not dealt. And again, the orb going over to to Political Army. And Political Army, they can't quite kill off Devilish, but it's still essentially a 3v2. That's the key thing. This 3v2 is actually going really well for SG Represent. They've, other than the damage dealt to Devilish, they're actually playing this round remarkably well. It's just that without Devilish, without that third, and the extra healing that's provided, all they can really do is wait for the snipe support, and that is only going to work so well. And there's the time travel to avoid the Grimoire once again. And it's like, I almost wish that Yane would save that for Arcane Ward, especially as their teammate is about to go down, and that Arcane Ward could have saved them. Like, Grimoire, I get it. It's a strong move, works really well, puts a lot of pressure, but when your opponents know to save their iframes for it, it ultimately doesn't do very much. I could see a Grimoire being done after Venom Wind actually be a really cool thing to see. If Toonie drops the Venom Wind, and then we see the Grimoire afterwards, the Condemn's done. Most of the iframes are done, actually. So, it could very well be used to set up a good combo. I mean, yeah, it's not the same. You don't get the damage off the Venom Wind, but boy, do you get the damage off the Grimoire. Still, though, Plinish will go Army. 2-2, just like I said. And another 3-2 map as well. This is even. This is an even match. There is no other way to put it. This is an even game. Every team, all two teams in this match are doing an amazing job keeping up with the other. So map 5, Dragon Knight. And again, this is a more open map, and I think this is a map where Toonie is going to have room to maneuver and get in here. But it's honestly kind of hard to say. Also, it looks like, are we messing up technical stuff? Looks like I'm messing up technical stuff. Okay, I'm just going to take a short break as we deal with this small technical things. And then, once that's done, we will have the last map of the finals. Also, just point out, if you want to provide help for the prize pool, Matcherino is up, and Storku, holy crap, $50 from Storku, saying, have fun, guys, thanks for all the good games. Well, Johnny Bravo with another $1, SG win. Zamir Berger with $5, saying, have fun and smile high with $2, and no comment. So, thank you all. Adds the prize pool. A little bit extra motivation for the players to win this, and it looks like we actually won't need to take a break from the looks of it. We do have... Nah, I will anyway, because we will be taking a little while for everything to be set up. So, be back in a sec. Thank you all for adding to the prize pool. And again, if you're curious about that, !donate will provide you the link to the Matcherino webpage that you can use to donate from. It is currently in the chat, but if you just joined, you may need to hit the !donate to see what's going on. So stay tuned, we'll be back in a couple minutes. Welcome back, everyone, to Battlerite Asia number 5. I'm your host, Dominic. We're in the finals. Last map of the finals. It is going to be a match continuing between Political Army and SG Represent, as both teams have been fighting extremely well. This has been one of the most even matches I've seen in any region in any tournament. I honestly don't know who's going to win. We do have a bit of a change-up coming in, though, and this is interesting. Devilish has gone Xander. Devilish, you're Xander now. So, we have Xander, Esmo, and Croak. A bit of a more classic composition, kind of the pre-Ulrich meta with some modifications. Didn't normally see Croak before, but, I mean, considering the circumstances. At the same time, though, we have the similar older older Ulrich and Freya setup coming in from Plish Will Go Army. And that's a big thing. I mean, Croak is kind of handy here again because they can get behind the directional shield. So Older has fewer options, Ulrich has fewer options, and a map like this has a lot of walls to play around. So the Croak could find room to maneuver. The downside, however, is the map's fairly open while still allowing for teams to be connected. So it could be difficult to find the separations needed to really get those combos going. But that's what Devilish is for. Make the combos that are found that much more powerful thanks to Arcane Catalyst amplifying damage. However, Toonie having a bit of a hard time. They're not finding much in the way of damage, and trying to get in and actually deal the damage means that they're getting focused down hard, and the orb does go over to SG Represent. But not much permanent damage has been found. In fact, no permanent damage has been found on either side. So this is what we've seen before, but the double support means that it's really a matter of time before permanent damage is only found for SG, well, only found for Plish Will Go Army, and SG Represent just ends up having a hard time actually keeping up. But hey, Grimoire very early on, not finding much, does force an out, but no follow-ups, as that out force was also meaning, hey, Devilish, you're going to take some damage here. So awkward situation coming in here, but again, Plish has taken no permanent damage, and now at this point we're seeing a little bit of permanent damage coming in from Clarinet. As the time travel is attempted here, actually the time travel being attempted does mean some openings for KJP, especially as they have no escapes left. They do get hit by the Venom Wind and the portal on the Petrify, but that's fine. That just means that no follow-up ends up happening on Toonie. But now Yane, completely separate from the rest of their team, Devilish not able to heal them up effectively, being body blocked by their opponents. So Yane, at half HP, only so able to deal with this, and this is what I mean. Over time, this will be a question of Political Army slowly but surely getting an HP advantage because they have more healers. And the burst damage is not in there. I'm kind of honestly surprised we didn't see Yane go back for Jade. Like, Jade, Xander, Croak, I think would be amazing. I realize Older makes that hard, but I do feel like Yane is having a bit of an even harder time when it comes to Esmo. Very nice displays there, but even with that, Yane and Esmo aren't finding the burst damage needed to burn through the damage, or burn through the healing their opponents can put out. The Grimoire is nice, but again, every single time the Grimoire comes out, it's just being it's being denied. And then, so is Yane's life. So with that, Political Army having a pretty handy early round 1 win in map 5. So from here, I could see Yane trying to play with Devilish, like really be close to Devilish and go for some kind of Arcane Catalyst, Grand Conjuration, and Bolt, and Chaos Bolt, or Chaos Grip, rather, in case you're confused. Chaos Grip combo with Arcane Catalyst to really get the damage off, and then work from there to turn that into a bunch of Arcane Fire hits. So damage can still be dealt. I mean, that's still a decent amount of damage, you know, good 21 damage just off the M1s, and then 35 or so damage off of the main attacks. That's looking like a good 90 to 100 damage. That's not bad. I mean, that's half HP. But that's hard to set that up, and I haven't been seeing them do that. Like, really, they're playing a poke game against a comp that is set up to deal with poke game. That, to me, is the thing I want to see changed. I want to see them switch over to, or at least switch their tactics to be more combo-focused. Be more burst-focused. And if they do that, I could see this working out really well for SG Represent. It has thus far. I mean, this is 2-2 for a reason. Every single round here has been even. So it's not nothing. It's just that this last round, it seems like Political Army has figured out what to do, and especially on a map like this. But like I said, open maps tend to work in their favor, especially ones like Dragon tend to really work in their favor. And at this point, it looks like it is going to be, again, Toonie having a bit of a hard time with this. Portaling out of there, nicely done Devilish, saving their teammate. Good comms on that part, but again, they haven't managed to get any damage out of it. Toonie's at half HP, and everyone else is basically full up max HP. And the Grimoire coming in there does manage to find, there's the value. Getting rid of Clarinet's HP. Finding mileage, and with that, Clarinet could actually take a lot of damage, or Plish. I mean, Arcane Catalyst getting up there off the sheep form, and the Venom Wind does find stuff. A bit of shielding coming in, but not enough to stop the damage, and that burns the healing. That is huge. That means any damage being dealt right now is not going to be easily held through, just because the healing charges had to be wasted. Well, not wasted, but it had to be used to recover from Venom Wind. But the follow-up can only last so long, and at this point, it is too late. That follow-up, the timing window is over. And again, it's just a solid situation for Political Army. HP advantage isn't necessarily there, but Toonie is in the spot where they can be comboed out. Again, there's the portal. Again, there's the savior. But it's still a matter of whether or not they can keep that up. And on top of that, the Lightning Strike taking out Yane there, down to half HP as well. And ultimately, this is just an attrition match, which is going in Political Army's favor, because that is how this comp works. I do like that there's a bit of a better focus on Burst. I'm not so keen on the fact that the Burst is still focused heavily on Grimoire, but I do like that there has been some Grand Conjuration as an Arcane Catalyst combos with other stuff. Although I just noticed that, no, that sheep form is on Arcane Catalyst. That should be there. Okay, good. Xander kind of needs that right. Still, though, it doesn't even necessarily matter. The in-cap coming in there with the portal to save, but the Grimoire not able to find the mileage off of that, and the time travel uses the escape to make sure that Plish does not take damage out of the Grimoire, meaning that ultimates are burned for basically no value on either side, but that's fine for Political Army. They're winning the game. They're winning the long game. As long as they don't get hit by a massive combo, get hit by a big ultimate, they're good. They have got no problems whatsoever. Now, at this point, Devilish actually having their meter up. I'm a bit surprised they're not spotlighting. I mean, they're throwing that ultimate in for Grand Conjuration. One of them does get hit by the Chrono Flux, but at least that was on the illusion. It's not a big deal. Doesn't kill Devilish in the process, but it did not do any favors to Yane, and that Deceit, that Deceit doing a nice job comboing with the Grimoire, giving Yane one last bit of value as they died, but ultimately, this is still Political Army's round to win. And a lot of that, again, is coming down to the fact that there's not enough burst, a bit too much poke. I like that there's more of a focus on burst. It's better. One more round with momentum shifting over this, they've got this. Like, I mean, some people in the chat thinking that SG is actually just trolling a bit, that they're basically just, they're throwing the first couple rounds to give false hope, and I don't agree. I mean, we've seen SG play their hearts out here, and yeah, they legit have problems sometimes against Political Army. The first round was won by Political Army, so it's not like Political Army is like dealing with a throw situation, obviously. And we'll see how this round goes, because this is the make or break round. Like, if SG finds what they need to do, they set up the burst properly and get the damage in, then it'll possibly be not 3-0. But Political Army could win this with the momentum they have and get 3-0 in the final map. And there's the focus on Clarinet again, but Clarinet able to heal that up, get the sheep form, but he gets juked. Nice juke in the Grand Conjuration. I love the way that people juke Grand Conjuration using sheep form. Use that WASD. But there's the focus again. There's the focus on Plish. There's the Grimoire. And the sheep form. There's that combo. Nicely done. So there's a bit more room coming from SG Represent. This is what I expected to see coming out from them earlier on. But even then, it's still a matter of whether or not, I mean, KGP or Clarinet can find something to work with. Oh, the Lightning Strike comes down here. I mean, time travel and the Lightning Strike is an option. Clearly not an option they're going to go for right off the bat because they need that for the iframes. But once there's... Actually, no, that has been Grimoire. They can just go for it. They really could just go for that as a big combo to take out somebody on the opposing team. And there's the ultimate coming in. Their the Prestige coming in for the Xander, but that is not... Oh, that is finally the Grand Conjuration combo. Clarinet, however, not getting avenged. Lightning Strike finding nothing, and while there is that time travel, that is an escape. Like, you do not use that unless you are going to be escaping with it. And especially with Grimoire up, that is going to be necessary right about now. Oh, no. No, never mind. Actually managed to use the Thunderclap to get away from that instead. Clarinet able to use the Condemn to escape. A little bit of damage from Yane, but not ultimately that much. Not able to lock out Yane either. So this is likely to be a round in favor of SG Represent. And this is going to be still kind of close. Like, honestly, yeah, it's been momentum. I mentioned before, you know, as the rounds continued, it seems like SG Represent got a bit of a better idea of how to deal with this. But again, it's still feels like the amount of time it's taking to work with that. And the fact that longer games do work in favor of Polish will go Army means that SG Represent, they're still not really convincing me that they've got this. I mean, they might have this round, sure, but I'm not convinced that they necessarily have this entire tournament considering the first 2 rounds. Like, really, this is not over yet. It's close, and the Venom Wind is going to make it a bit of a problem. Actually, oh, the Venom Wind, that might combine with... No, nothing. But the Older goes down anyway. KJP is done. Clarinet goes down soon after, and there's the Thunderstrike to try to get some value back, but ultimately, much like the Grimoires coming from Yane, it finds nothing thanks to the escapes already being up. So Plish also, unfortunately, unable to take advantage of the massive shield stack they had there. That is going to be a round for SG Represent in the last map. Also, I do believe in the reverse sweep. I was saying at the end of round 2, there's a possibility that SG Represent will find the momentum and be able to turn it around. But at the same time, there's the reverse sweep, and there's also the 1-2-5 rule. Now, the 1-2-5 rule is more of a thing that happens in solo queue, which is basically like the first 2 matches, one team does well, and the other team tends to adapt a bit, and then the first team that got the first 2 wins, they were already having an advantage, they adapt back just slightly and win. Happens all the time. But, yeah, reverse sweeps, they could be a thing. SG Represent has shown they can beat Political Army. It's just a matter of who gets focused first, and Political Army just needs the 1 round. And it looks like they might actually manage to get it. Yane taking a fair amount of focus with very little in return. Again, full HP available still on the Political Army team. And SG Represent actually haven't taken much damage either. But hey, there's that healing. It's working out. And the more important thing is that there isn't the pressure. Basically, Plish will go in and deal all the damage they need to. Nothing is stopping them from dealing the damage. They've got some pressure onto the healers. Got the pressure, quite a bit of pressure actually, onto Devilish. But ultimately, there's only so much they can do with that. And without that pressure, maybe it's not going to be so bad. Thanks to the Grimoire actually doing some damage. It found some damage. Not much. But ultimately, Yane and Devilish are not being hit hard enough, and I thought they were. It's way less than I was looking at first. And at the same time, we do see KJP taking some damage. We've seen this before. KJP takes some damage, and we see Clarinet take some damage, and then ultimately that focus does lead to a win, and the Grimoire, however, does not lead to a win. Does not lead to damage, and ultimately, there is still a slight HP advantage in favor of SG Represent. Toonie has been playing a lot more careful, though. And Toonie is the big thing I'm focusing on here because their HP is so low. They've been for the last few rounds, not really been as much of a focus. Yane has been really taking more of the focus, while Toonie is able to get some damage in here and there, get some setups in here and there. But really, they're kind of the weak link right now. If they get focused one more time, they're done. They have to be exceedingly careful here, and they know it. Of course, that Aegis does not find any connection, so there's still a possibility. The Divinity also not able to find much value, as it, like, basically Clarinet just unable to do much while it's there. Prestige also finding nothing. No Grand Conjuration coming out during its existence. And nice catch on the Grand Conjuration. Now Toonie is in the open. This is exactly the thing I was talking about. There's the portal, but there's the time travel. There's the Revenge Thunderstrike. That's exactly what you need. And Yane, kind of regretting stuff, able to get the in-cap, however. There is that, so a slight bit of revenge. The deceit into the Grimoire, still a thing. And ultimately, KJP could fall, and if that happens, this is going to be SG Represent's round if KJP falls. If not, though, then it's still very much up in the air. The HP advantage, it's not an advantage. There's no advantage whatsoever, and Toonie could very well go down here, but again, it's such a tight situation, and that one little sheep form not managing to find the damage. It almost did, but again, there's that healing, and that healing is enough. There's the Thunderstrike off the static, 60 damage into the Esmo, finishing them off, and SG Represent, if they cross-kill, they've got 5 seconds. Toonie, get that Venom Wind, get something off that, maybe get some stuns, but like sheep form or something, but no, nothing comes out of it, and that is 3-1 for Plish Will Go Army, winning the tournament after 5 maps. Congratulations, Plish Will Go Army. Hard-fought set of series. I wasn't sure they were going to make it. SG Represent had a really strong showing early on. The first map, yeah, Plish Will Go Army had that, but SG Represent took the next 2 maps, and then Plish Will Go Army did manage to finally take that last map with a very strong showing. I do think, though, that Yane, I felt like the way that the Jade was working against this double support was a bit of a more reliable option, but I can see they may not have wanted to go for the snipe so much. Maybe wanted to have a bit more control, a bit more in the way of pulls. That makes sense. Still, though, I'm curious to see how the Ulrich double support comp develops. I feel like we're just seeing the beginning of it, and we were seeing how it's possible to focus around the Ulrich and focus the Ulrich and make that work out. So ultimately, it is, I think, still a possibility for just outplay and counterplay more than having to be done by nerfs. But that is that. Battlerite Asia number 5 is completed. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for donating. And just to double check, the final count of it is $279 in the prize pool. Thanks to Johnny Robo with one last $1 donation of SG. As SG was represented, but ultimately not to a victory. But hey, still, well done. Well done, everyone. Thank you. And congratulations as well. So, obviously, Blish and SG represent. Well done to you two, but at the same time, also, good job, Egghouse and Hypergay, for getting 3rd and 4th place, respectively. So with that, I am going to be closing up for tonight. Thank you for watching,